ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where at 7 o'clock, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is back. Matthew Rocchio is here. I'm Randy Carricker. And I was told yesterday that I should, rather than start off the show with good, I should start it off with Newt. Because of Newt Barr.
Yes.
And we are the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation.
We're back in full force.
Full force. Coming up with a big hit in the ninth inning to get your Cardinals ever closer to that coveted third wild card spot in the National League.
How much closer?
No, not closer.
No, we haven't gained much ground. I feel like the season is still kind of hanging on a thread. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I would say that thread might be cut this week.
Oh, Randy.
But the Cardinals have won back-to-back series. Let's be positive. Let's be sunshine lollipops. 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, 2 out of 3 against Minnesota. Now the Padres come to town. Can't take 2 out of 3 in this one, but it'll be fun to see Mike Schilt back in town. And the Padres, maybe they feel like, okay, the Cardinals are a walkover. Brooke, maybe the Padres will come to town and think it's going to be easy against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals will be able to jump all over them.
Isn't this the first time that Mike Schilt has returned back to St. Louis as a manager of the Padres since, the philosophical differences happened? I think that might be on his mind, Randy.
Does he get, first time the Cardinals fans see him, a big ovation?
I could actually see that. That's a good question. I could actually see that happening. But, yeah, to your question, I don't think the Padres are going to look over or overlook the Cardinals in this situation, especially for Mike Schilt and what he's been able to build for them. You know, it's weird because there is positives that you can take away from this weekend other than Sonny Gray, which I know that we can get into that. It wasn't great for Sonny Gray, but there is some positives. Andre Palante is a great story from this weekend. Also, Eric Fetty. He was able to get a really good start where he struck out 7 and 6 innings, allowing just 2 hits and walking 3. So there are some positives, but then it kind of puts you back into reality. It smacks you right in the face when you see, oh, we really didn't gain much ground.
Right, and they're just running out of games, and that's what happens when you are a team that's hovering around 500. Somebody else is going to be winning that day. And when you have 3 or 4 teams in front of you, and the Cardinals have had that now for the last week or so, where it's been most of the time 4 teams that are ahead of them in the wild card. Well, 4, you've got the 2 that are way ahead. I don't even count Arizona and San Diego anymore. But then you add in the Braves, who are playing as well as the Cardinals are, even though they don't have any other players. They still have a 5-game lead over the Cardinals. The Mets are 2.5 behind. The Giants are even with the Cardinals, and the Cubs are only a half game behind. So we've spent a lot of time with like 4 teams that you got to jump over to get to that third wild card spot.
Is there any way that you think that they could jump over that?
I don't see it happening, simply because I don't think that the Cardinal offense will ever be consistent enough this year.
They need to sweep a series at some point. You did win back-to-back series against the Brewers and the Twins, but at the same time, you need to sweep a series.
They're 65-65. And they're going to have to finish 10 games over. So at some point, they're going to need a 10-game winning streak, or they're going to have to win 10 of 12 and then win a couple more. Now, could it happen with the schedule down the stretch? Absolutely. I'm not going to say it absolutely can't happen. But with the combination of the Cardinal offense and the quality of the starting pitching the Cardinals have gotten on a consistent basis, it's going to be very, very unusual for them to play that well for that stretch of time.
How do you feel about Sonny Gray's struggles?
Well, Brooke, I hate to say this, but this is kind of what I expected from Sonny Gray.
I wish we could find that clip. I know it's out there.
Yeah.
It definitely was floating around there on the social medias, if you will.
Yeah, it's not, and he's a good pitcher.
Yes.
See, people think that I thought he was bad. No, but for his career, essentially what we're seeing from Sonny Gray over the body of work for 6 months is what he is. And it's not a bad pitcher. It's just not a front of the rotation. It's not a number 1. We'll see a number 1 this week when Dylan Cease pitches for the Padres. We saw a number 1 with Pablo Lopez from the Twins. Sonny Gray was a number 2 last year for Minnesota. He was a fine number 2. But he is not a front of the rotation guy. You just can't count on him to pitch well for 4 out of 5 starts, 5 out of 6 starts every single month for 6 months. And he's really struggled lately. But his body of work at the end of the season is probably going to be pretty close to what his career numbers are.
Yeah, and when he was with the Twins, he had Pablo Lopez right in front of him. He was the true number one there, and then Sonny Gray was the number two. Just look at what happened in Game 1. Who was it? It was Pablo Lopez, and in Game 2, it was Sonny Gray. So it almost makes you think, too, about when you look at this offseason and you're evaluating the starting rotation. One, Andre Pallante, with no doubt in my mind, needs to be in the starting rotation.
Agreed.
He could be a 4 or 5, at times even a 3 for the starting rotation. I believe he has the best ERA right now out of all of the starting pitchers. I know that obviously he got later into the picture of what they were doing, but still at the same time, he has the best ERA amongst all the starting rotation this time right now. So when you are evaluating the starting rotation moving forward, you're looking at what is missing. Do they need to go out and get another starter?
Well, I believe that the Cardinals will cut payroll with the attendance this year and with the questions surrounding them about Bally. And I'm thinking, Brooke, that when you talk about going out and getting somebody, I think on opening day next year, your rotation is going to be Gray, Fetty, Michaelis, Pallante, Matz.
Matz?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matz is back into the fold, huh?
Yep. Yeah, I believe that they're counting on him. I've been told they're counting on him, and they like his arm. And so in the last year of his contract, I think Matz will be in that rotation. As a matter of fact, I believe, Brooke, that when the Cardinals start opening day next year, that their roster of players will probably 22, 23, 24, there's 26 are already in the organization right now. Right?
Wow.
Because you'll have Arenado, you'll have Wynn, you'll have Donovan, you'll have Burley. You'll have Contreras and Pages and Herrera. Then you'll have Newt, you'll have Scott Orsiani, and you'll have Walker. And then you might go out and get a veteran bench guy, maybe like a Corey Dickerson type of guy. That might be where they build the bench. But then the bullpen, pretty well set. And by the way, Riley O'Brien is going to show up and be dominant, but Helsley will be here, Yo-Yo will be here. Kittredge is a question mark. But you've got the Graceffos of the world, the McGreevies of the world, the O'Briens of the world. Liberatore will probably be here. He'll probably vie for a starting job. I would guess they'll probably have Zach Thompson vie for a starting job, and those that don't win it will be in the bullpen. But would I be surprised if the Cardinals would slice $50 million off their payroll, let Goldie walk, let Lynn walk, let Gibson walk? I would not be at all surprised.
Wow. I'm not.
Rookies.
Yeah, and it starts the youth movement that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
Of just allowing those younger players to come in and finally take over. You already saw a lot of them really grow this season. Now it's time to just really move forward with that younger group.
Yep. Tonight at the ballpark, 6:45 start. Kyle Gibson goes for the Cardinals against Ramon Vasquez for the Padres. And as we mentioned, 6:45 in the first. Did I get that? No, it's Randy Vasquez. Randy. So he'll probably win, right?
Because of the name.
Yep. Well,
if he channels his inner Megamind.
Yeah. If it was Ramon, 50-50 chance. Since it's Randy, 85% chance. Then tomorrow we get Dylan Cease against Miles Michaelis. What's that over-under thing that we do, Matthew?
No.
Yeah. The site, the app.
Oh, underdog, a higher or lower?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to
Cease against Michaelis there.
Trying to think.
You'll have one.
Strikeouts.
You'll have a good one.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
Oh man, strikeouts tomorrow. Oh, and then Wednesday, Joe Musgrove against Andre Pallante, and then Thursday is a day game, 1:15. Sonny comes home to take on Michael King, who's been a revelation for the Padres this year. Yesterday, in addition to Newt coming up with a big 2-run hit in the 9th, and the Cardinals getting the 40th save for Ryan Helsley, he leads all of Major League Baseball. Another home run for Victor Scott, who looks like he's you don't ever figure it out unless you're like an Albert Pujols or something like that. But it looks like Victor Scott, to me, has taken that next step. Brooke, when he hits the ball, he hits it hard.
Yeah, and he golfed it. That was like the biggest thing, too, that I saw there. It really worked out for him, whatever the adjustments that he made in the minors. We talked about that extensively, about how we worked with Ryan Ludwig, and it paid off. So I also hope that could be a lesson for a lot of the other guys within the organization, because we talk about the specialization that we see right now in baseball, where a lot of the guys have their own person. Now it really works out for a lot of people, because then you look at somebody like Aaron Judge, who is absolutely crushing crushing it, obviously, right now, crushing the ball. And what he's able to do, it works for him. But listening to people about maybe some of the adjustments you could make. I think it has to be a nice balance, right, of what got you to the majors, but also adjusting to the game.
And just that leg kick. Yep, just the weight shift and the leg kick has made a huge difference in terms of him hitting the ball harder. Saturday night, man, what a disappointment. St. Louis City up 3-1 at halftime. They're up 4-2, and they tie the Portland Timbers, draw the Portland Timbers 4-4. And this is one of the things about soccer. Okay, I like to know when a game ends. I like to know when a football game. We've got 33 seconds left in this game. In hockey, you're going unless it's sudden death. But hockey, they don't add minutes to the game.
Why does that bother you so much?
In a 90-minute game, why not just stop the clock when somebody's injured on the field? Well, how difficult is this? In the 99th minute of a 90-minute game, a bending free kick from Evander, not Holyfield, not Kane, just Evander, and Portland winds up with a 4-4 draw. Okay, Matthew, I want you to weigh in here because you are our soccer aficionado. Why do we have a 99th minute in a 90-minute game?
Oh, I can't explain stoppage time to you. It's a dumb, antiquated thing.
Thank you.
Honestly, I would compare it to like the chain gang. It's like but stupider. Yep. It's like you are a $1 billion organization. You are. If we talk about the World Cup, we're talking about a thing that's used at the most popular sporting event in the world every 4 years. And somehow you can't just be like, let's stop the clock and do this like civilized people. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Think about this.
I don't get it.
Think about an NFL player being injured on the field and the clock running.
It would be nuts. Well,
I don't get it.
And then also maybe another point to this too is that sometimes what I hear for the people who are just getting into soccer, and Matthew, I'm sure you've heard this as well, is that they are bothered by some of the kind of flailing of injuries or the fakeage of injuries. And that's one of the parts of the game, right? Where it could actually work in your favor if you do that. So that's something I hear consistently from some people that keeps them from getting into soccer.
I mean, it's flopping's a problem in every, almost every sport. Yeah. And you have to put in rules. And in that game, a Portland player was given a yellow card for an excessive I'm blanking on the term right now, because he was rolling around after a light foul in the box trying to get a penalty, and he got the yellow card, the offensive player.
I'm mildly entertained by the flopping.
Are you really?
Yeah, I don't mind that. If it's almost like they've been shot and they're on the field and they're about to
There's
die.
Like a secret sniper that just took them out up there.
But then 2 minutes later they're up and playing again.
That's the problem though. Is you're watching and you're a fan.
It's crazy.
And your star player goes down holding his ankle trying to get a penalty call. Yeah, your blood pressure spikes there because you're just like, okay, there goes the season.
Yeah, well, and then all of a sudden they just hop right back up and you're like, well, that was quick.
Yep.
Yeah, and
hit by a BB gun.
You don't know when to react. Like one was like when Celio Pompeu went down, and he's not a guy who flops very often, but like he went down and I'm like, okay. Oh no, it's serious. Never mind, my bad. Okay, it's like that, and that's a bad part about watching the sport that I even hate.
Yeah, I think that also that video that you sent last night through the group chat of those girls.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up.
That is the version. That is the version of soccer that I would say Randy style.
Totally.
So you have to explain the video.
So yeah, UMass and Rutgers. I think it was one of the Rutgers players just leveled one of the UMass players. I mean, this was legit. She was down and she was hurt, and one of her UMass teammates went after the Rutgers, and they started throwing fists. It was great, and then they had kind of a little mini brawl. It was sensational. It was.
She gave her a right hook and then pulled some kind of submission move like she trains with UFC fighters. It was incredible. It was insane.
You never know. You need to be prepared for soccer, especially if it's done Randy style. That was as soon as I saw that video, I was like, that's the type of soccer that Randy's looking for.
That's what I need. Yeah, right there. That's going to get, for all of those
controlled violence.
Yeah.
Instead of, we had controlled chaos for City
controlled
SC.
Violence.
Controlled violence.
Yeah. For all of those MLS cities that don't sell out every game like St. Louis does. This is America. And if you allow fighting, You're going to sell tickets, and nobody's going to get up and go to the concession stand while the fight's going on. It just doesn't. Nobody's going to boo while the fight's going on.
Well, maybe you need like a little bit of a break, that 99th minute to have, just a quick concession stand break.
And Keenan Bradley, the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team, wins the BMW Championship, and he will be in the hunt next week as the PGA Tour heads to East Lake for the finale of their 2024 season. That's Brooke Matthews here. I'm Randy. Coming up, 3 things we love from the weekend here on 101 ESPN.
It is time for 3 things we love from the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Brooke and Randy, and number 3. Brooke, what do you got?
So for me, I'm looking for little wins along the way when it comes to the Cardinals. Look, I know that the playoffs are very bleak, should probably not even be a part of our conversation at this point when you're talking about the Cardinals and the playoffs, but I'm still looking for little wins along the way because I'm looking ahead to next year and what you could really say is great for this team. Ryan Helsley, his 40th save, you mentioned it earlier, Randy, and now he leads all of Major League Baseball with that. It's been so great to see him accomplish that goal. And then also Lars Nootbaar, for him to be able to come up in that huge situation. I really hope that next year we can see a fully healthy Lars Nootbaar. That's what I really want to see from him. We talked about a lot. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of potential there, but it's been hard to keep him on the field. I know that we've said that in the past about Tyler O'Neill and some other players as well, but hopefully Lars Nootbaar next season season can stay completely healthy and we can see more of what he's able to do. And you have Andre Palante, who has been a great revelation. So I think there is some things, I know it's frustrating, but there is some things to be positive about with this team moving forward.
Brooke, my number 3 was no.
Yeah.
Because we know he has talent. We know that other teams value his talent and want him. He's one of those guys that if he got away from the Cardinals would, like the rest of them, turn into a star. But not only do you see the talent, but you see the excitement in him, the joy that he plays with and getting the big hit. And for me, he can be a really key guy. If you have, now it's going to be heavily left-handed, but if you have an outfield of Nootbaar, either Ciani or Victor Scott and Burleson, for example, that would be, for me, if they're out there, a pretty good outfield. Now, I would probably move Burley into first next year and have Walker in the outfield, but I have no problem at all with that left-handed hitting outfield that I just mentioned. And if Lars Nootbaar could somehow play 135 games, I think he'd be a pretty darn good player.
I think so, too. And we talk about that clubhouse leadership. I mean, it is something that everybody says is very important because you can put a lot of players together, but you have to have some glue guys. And I believe Lars Nootbaar is one of those glue guys in the clubhouse.
Number 2.
Number 2 for me will be visiting family with, some family and friends down in Florida this weekend. My husband has a twin brother, so we went down and visited him and his kids, and there are 3 girls that they have, and so it was just really nice it was my first time actually meeting all 3 of their little daughters, so it was a very special weekend.
Very nice. Brooke, do you mind if one of my favorite things is kind of macabre and maudlin?
Okay, sure.
It's the White Sox losing their 100th game on August 25th. It's
so bad that it's almost
it's
good,
compelling.
Yeah,
it is. You almost have to tune in to the White Sox. They're just so bad, and they're 31-100 now. They're the second fastest team to 100 losses in the history of baseball. The Philadelphia A's were 29-101 in 1916. They reached 100 losses in fewer games than the White Sox. But it's my favorite thing that the worst baseball team we will probably ever see in our lifetimes is playing right now before our very eyes. So that's one of my favorite things. And they've got a lot of work to do, clearly. Here's the thing. As bad as we think it is for the Cardinals, and it is, relatively speaking, for the Cardinals, because 500 seasons are unacceptable in St. Louis, 31-100.
That's really, really, obviously historically bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about it, and I still don't understand. I know we've discussed this, but I don't understand what the goal or the plan is here. Obviously, losing is a big portion of this, but where do you go from here? Because they also can't even really get any top picks next season, right?
Yeah,
no top 10 picks.
The top pick they could have is 10th in the draft. Yeah, so you're right.
So what's going on? What's the plan?
Yeah, what good does tanking do you? And trading a guy like Eric Fetty, who's due $7.5 million next year, why not try to keep him around? But why did you trade Dylan Cease?
Exactly.
Why did you even engage in talks with Crochet? I mean, if you have Cease, Crochet, Fetty, that's not a bad way to start. You had some injured players. I mean, you've lost Moncada for the season. Robert has been hurt this year. I just think that they were closer to being good than they even knew they were. It's a horrific organization.
I still don't understand why Crochet wanted to stay there. Is that bad? I would have tried to find a way to leave.
Yeah, get out and get into the playoffs. Yeah, and now...
Especially when his value is at its highest.
Right. Yeah, he had to stay there for 2 extra months. He might get traded during the offseason, but they have a year or 2 of control, too. So he might be stuck there next year, too. Yikes.
Number 1.
Number 1 for me is college football is back, baby. It is always the best time of year. Fall, love fall, and also college football when it's back. Now, it was in Ireland, which is still a little weird, but either way, college football is back. And you had your first surprise of the season as well with Georgia Tech pulling off a 24-21 upset against number 10 ranked Florida State. And it all came down to a 44-yard field goal there. Do you think that this is something that really could maybe foreshadow what we could see for college football this season? I just feel like there's so many unexpected variables going into this year, considering that you have a 12-team playoff format where more teams are in the hunt that you're not expecting. A lot of tough schedules. This is why I keep saying Mizzou really can take advantage of their schedule and the way that it's set up, because they have such a favorable schedule if they're able to take advantage of it. I don't know what to expect this college football season. I'm expecting a lot of chaos, and I think that maybe that first game of the season foreshadowed it.
I loved seeing, after all of their whining last year about not being in the Final Four, I love seeing Florida State lose. Apologies to all the Seminole fans out there, but Mike Norvell and that group. First of all, you say we should have been in the Final Four. Then you go to the bowl game and lose 63-3 to Georgia, and then
they were missing their quarterback.
Sure, they were, but there were a lot of teams missing a lot of players that still wound up not losing 63-3. But then to lose to Georgia Tech, and basically what Florida State has done here is, on August 24th, they lost that game. They lost their chance to play in the 12-team playoff because you can't get that one back. Now, you still have to play BC next week, coached by Bill O'Brien. They're pretty good. Mizzou will have them later on, too. But they still have to play Clemson. They still have to play Miami. They still have to play Notre Dame. All teams that are top 25 teams. So I would think that it's going to be, and by the way, Florida at the end of the season, too, for Florida State. They're going to have their hands full. There's no way they're going, I shouldn't say this. There's very little likelihood of them going 11-1 in the regular season, and I think they're already out of the playoff.
There's going to be a lot of 10-2 teams this year, I feel like, and I thought that with a 12-team playoff format that maybe we would get away from some of the drama and escapades of last year, where there's always the controversy of that one team that maybe they shouldn't get in, but I don't know if we're actually going to get away from that. It could be even crazier now.
But the thing is, I don't think the 13th best team will be able to say, yeah, we would have won the national championship. I think that if you have the top 5 or 6, you'll have everybody really capable of winning the national championship. Once you get past probably the top 6, the other teams, if they win, it's going to be a fluke, I think.
Yeah.
So, and I'm with you. My number one was not only college football, but football being back. Here's how sick I am. I was watching the Cardinals and the Broncos yesterday. I was watching Zach Wilson light up that Cardinal defense that we don't know anything about and won't be on the team in September. I was watching last night. I was watching Sunday Night Football, and yeah, I'm a sicko. It was, and by the way, was it fun? Yes, it was quite enjoyable.
Fun. Yeah. You enjoyed it? Yeah. You enjoyed watching Zach Wilson?
Oh, man, he was lighting it up for Denver. Now, will he make the team? Probably not.
No.
But it was actually, it was somewhat enjoyable. And, just seeing games was a lot of fun. By the way, the Commanders, they should wear burgundy and gold. I know that they've changed the name and they are different now. But they shouldn't be wearing black and yellow. They should be wearing burgundy and gold. And the Patriots are going to be bad, which thrills me also.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? The Bill Belichick era is done, and now you have this coming in.
Yep.
It feels nice, doesn't it?
It does. It's like a breath of fresh air. Oh, there's 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. By the way, the NFL season starts in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we're 10 days away from the opener between the Ravens and the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football that you'll hear right here on 101 ESPN 1 week from Thursday night. Coming up at the end of Friday's show, we heard Michelle Smallmon's little rant against Gus. We'll hear that again. And we want to know from you, should we be over it in regards to the Rams? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, you want to have more energy? You want to feel better every Monday morning? I know you just had a relaxing weekend and you wake up and you feel fatigued. Could be an issue with low T because, guys, beyond our age of 30, we are going to be more fatigued. And at Mentality, they can solve that problem. Log on to lowtusa.com today and find out about what they can do for you. Everything is explained at lowtusa.com, and then make an appointment at one of their great facilities, either in Chesterfield or South County. At Mentality, they're going to restore your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s with an FDA-approved testosterone treatment. So if you're dealing with low energy and low motivation, can be fixed. If you're fatigued and tired all the time, can be fixed. If you're moody and irritable, that can be fixed. And even if you're dealing with a lack of sharpness, maybe a little fog, decreased mental acuity, that can be fixed at Mentality. They'll work with your insurance company to make sure your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as they can possibly be. You need to get to Mentality, guys. Start now at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals take 2 of 3 from the Twins thanks to a rubber match win on Sunday, a 3-2 victory for the Cardinals. Lars Nootbaar gets a 2-run single in the top of the ninth to give them that 3-2 lead for the win. The Cardinals will be back in action starting a series against the San Diego Padres tonight. It's going to be a 6:45 first pitch. It'll be Randy Vasquez, 3-6 on the season with a 4.63 ERA. That's the righty, facing off against Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals. Gibson on the season, 7-5 with a 4.22 ERA. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC back in MLS action, and they walk away with just 1 point after a 3-1 halftime lead. They give up a 3-1 deficit on the other side, and it's a 4-4 draw for St. Louis City facing off against the Portland Timbers. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Gus, may I ask you a personal question?
This ought to be good.
Absolutely.
Are you in a relationship?
Uh-oh.
Oh, absolutely married.
Okay. So you're married to someone who I'm sure that you love and adore. If that person cheated on you and then went all over social media saying, Gus is the worst, Gus is disgusting, no one will ever be able to have a successful marriage with Gus, and no one should even try. I'm so glad that I got away from Gus, and you should be pumped for me that I got away too. And then your ex goes on and marries somebody else. Are you going to get back together with that person?
Well, that ex left my city, so I'm probably not going to get back with her.
Okay. So you understand where I'm coming from, Gus. You don't want to go back to your ex that did you dirty. They are as dead to me as anything could be. Lifetime ban, Gus. Yeah, they torched my city on the way out. They left a lot of people that I know personally without jobs. They left my city in $100 million economic hole. And by the way, St. Louis got $790 million from Stan Kroenke in the NFL because they were in the wrong. The NFL does not lose at anything. Stan Kroenke doesn't really lose at anything. This is a billionaire with a lot of money and a very high-powered legal team. And yet they lost to St. Louis. That should tell you how dirty they did my people, okay?
That is the great Michelle Smallmon Friday morning on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio. And that went viral over the weekend nationally, not just here in St. Louis. Michelle did tell me that she got thousands of messages from people on the socials here in St. Louis. But there were also a lot of people, Brooke, that responded saying, hey, they've been gone now. This is their 9th year away from St. Louis, and we should be over it. I feel like I don't talk about it or think about it all the time, but when it comes up and when somebody's going to take a shot at St. Louis for losing the team, I do think that it is incumbent upon us to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and you should, because that means that they bought into NFL propaganda, right? That means that they completely bought into the machine. And look, we just talked about it. Randy, you were talking about it over the weekend. It was one of your favorite things because the NFL is really hard to look away from. It's a great product. Nobody can deny that. But we've discussed this before. I do not like the business side of this. So for me coming into the picture into St. Louis, I knew things. I knew what happened when the Rams left St. Louis and the manner in which it happened. I think the thing that was most disappointing and the sad thing that I had to learn more when I got here is that really the voices were not fully heard here in St. Louis about how hard they tried everything that they could to make sure that the Rams could stay. Randy, I think about your speech that you gave, where you really gave such a passionate and powerful speech about the Rams and trying to make a bid to keep them here. And what really frustrates me that I felt like wasn't covered on a national level are those stories about how much St. Louisans really tried everything they could to make sure the Rams could stay. Even, giving them the possible stadium proposal that they were looking for, only to know that behind the scenes they had other intentions and they had no intention of keeping the Rams here in St. Louis, no matter whatever St. Louisans did. And that's the part that I think is just absolutely disgusting, is that wasn't shared more publicly on a national level.
And shame on Peter King, shame on Adam Schefter for not engaging in journalism. Yes. They were engaged in a partnership with the NFL and basically were carrying the NFL's water on that particular story. And it is a shame that people who are esteemed journalists weren't able to recognize what was happening during that situation when everybody in St. Louis, Bernie was writing about it all the time. We were talking about it all the time. It was something that was well known here, and I can't imagine that it wasn't well known nationally. So I can see why somebody from outside of St. Louis would say get over it, but the fact of the matter is we got screwed, and I'm glad. And Michelle said it was hard for her to leave home, but she wanted to be out there to spread the truth about what really happened. And so I was proud of her, and that was a viral moment. We do get a couple of texts. Look at it this way. If the Rams were still here, we would have 3 teams with disappointing records. 2 bad teams is enough. Well, there's a couple of points. I think one of the interesting things, Brooke, is that if the Rams were still here, if St. Louis had added up $700 million to improve the dome, they would have extended the dome lease through this coming season. And we would be talking right now about the Rams leaving town after this season. If they had spent $700 million, which at that time would have been the highest amount ever spent publicly on a stadium, we would be talking about the Rams leaving after this season. And the other point that I think we should make is that if the Rams were here, St. Louis City SC wouldn't be, because one of the things that the Taylor family wanted to do was something that would make St. Louis feel better about itself after leaving the Rams, and thanks to them for bringing MLS here to St. Louis.
From the 573, NFL propaganda. You can't just stop a man from moving his business. Who wouldn't want to have their team in L.A. instead of St. Louis? Look at their new stadium. They won a Super Bowl. It's clear who won. Kroenke is one of the best owners in professional sports. First of all, Kevin Dimoff, please stop listening to our station and texting in. Randy, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I would start with this. There were rules that were in place. They were called relocation guidelines that were put in place actually when the Rams moved here and the Raiders moved back to Oakland from L.A. And it was all a product of the Raiders originally moving from Oakland to L.A. There were relocation guidelines in place, voted on and ratified by NFL owners, that require a team to meet relocation guidelines if they're going to move. The Rams pretty much point by point did not meet the guidelines necessary to move a franchise, yet the NFL allowed them to move. Thus, the $790 million settlement that the NFL and the Rams, Kroenke specifically, had to pay to St. Louis. You don't write a check to somebody for $790 million willingly unless you did something wrong. And yeah, the Rams have a nice stadium. Their $6 billion stadium that was originally scheduled to be a $2.3 billion stadium, and they did win the Super Bowl. So yeah, from that standpoint, you're exactly right. And you know what? I think if there would have been a level of honesty involved. If he would have been what the 573 said, if he would have just said, look, I want to make more money, and so I'm going to move the franchise, that would have been fine. But to rip St. Louis on the way out the door and lie about St. Louis in your relocation proposal, that's why the lawsuit was filed, and that's why the NFL had to settle. And by the way, the St. Louis lawyers had them dead to rights. If the thing goes to trial, and I know the lawyers wanted this thing to go to trial, it would have been $4 billion, and it would have been an easy $4 billion to give because it would have included unjust enrichment, which would have been the increased value of the franchise. It would have been the relocation fee, which would not have had to have been paid had the team not relocated, and it would have been other ancillary things like St. Louis losing $100 million in tax revenue. So it would have been a very reasonable $4 billion settlement if a jury in St. Louis would have found the NFL did violate their rules, which they did. The NFL ultimately admitted that they violated their own relocation guidelines.
And the NFL, they don't like to lose. They don't like to lose that. So for them to concede that much money really shows how wrong they were in this. When I was back in TV, I was able to cover that whole lawsuit and everything that was going on. And just reading the court documents and everything that was going on behind the scenes is what truly disgusted me, because I've heard the stories, as you mentioned. I knew what happened on the way out. But the way that they specifically tried to, as you mentioned, not just leave and say, we're going to LA because there's more opportunities there, blah, 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 that different kind of stuff. They really worked hard behind the scenes to paint St. Louis in such a bad picture and make it seem like St. Louis isn't a real sports town, which is absolutely disgusting. One, look at the Cardinals and how many fans that they draw. Look at the Blues and how many fans they draw. Look at the PGA Championship and how many fans. Remember what Tiger Woods, Randy, said about the fan support here in St. Louis? Look at everything that whenever you bring it to town, the amount of sports fans that show up and show in big numbers. Oh, and I saved the best one for last, the Battlehawks. The best support in all of the UFL, XFL with that merger, the best support from all of the fans. And so it's such a slap in the face to pretend that somehow St. Louis was not supportive when there was so much proof to show that there was nothing but support, and that didn't matter to Kroenke. It didn't matter to Dimhoff, who he brought in to really just come up and lie. I'll never forget Charlie Marlowe's lower third, where he called him a liar, which was 100% accurate in that
statement.
Liar. Yes, professional liar, because that's what they did. Behind the scenes, they were trying to paint a very inaccurate picture of what St. Louis is, and the fans continue to show that none of that is true.
Yeah, I have these notes from the hearing here, and I'm trying to find the one, but there's one, and I believe it was October of 2014, where Kroenke was on a call with Goodell, and I know the owner of the Steelers, Art Rooney, was on the call, and somebody else, and Kroenke said, I have this piece of land in L.A. This is 2014, 2013, and he said, I have this piece of land in L.A., and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to build a stadium on it. And Goodell said, we will respect your privacy here, and we will not say anything about it. And then, with the knowledge that Kroenke was going to have the stadium built, when Goodell was asked about it at a Super Bowl press conference, he said, yeah, Stan's never mentioned anything to me about that. We don't know anything about it. So Roger Goodell went to the podium at his biggest event of the year, his Super Bowl press conference, and blatantly lied about what he knew. So the league lied, and everybody knows it. And that's the most important knowledge we can have. And thanks to Michelle for getting that knowledge out there. And I've heard, by the way, and I know that our friends at Cool Fire Productions here in St. Louis were putting together a documentary about this situation. Hopefully that'll get sold to somebody. Hopefully somebody will pick that up. The problem, Brooke and Matthew, is that now that games are on Netflix, who doesn't have a relationship with the NFL?
That's a great point. Yeah.
You've got Netflix, you've got Amazon, Hulu is a Disney product.
Yep.
It's certainly not going on ESPN. It's not going on any Fox product. So what national platform that is not... Well, is there a national platform that is not a partner of the National Football League?
I can't think of one.
I can't either. It's unbelievable. They're everywhere.
And they put a stop to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so
does YouTube TV have a special deal?
They run.
They have it.
They run Sunday Ticket.
They run Sunday Ticket now, don't they? Yeah, I forgot about that part.
It's amazing.
It's true.
Yeah,
I really hope that it does get made because I think they interviewed McKernan too, and McKernan was actually out in California for like a couple months out there, and he was getting the runaround from political leaders. He had like a meeting with Mayor Butts.
Yep.
And they canceled the meeting like an hour before it was supposed to go down, or like 15 minutes, and so like the amount of things that went down it's so incredibly shady.
Somebody said Tubi.
Maybe, that's what I was. Yeah.
Is there enough there? Are there enough viewers on Tubi? I don't know.
So?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But congratulations to Michelle Smallmon, and she was viral. She was all over the interwebs this weekend in a good way. That's Brooke. That's Matthew. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho! Tioli next on 101 ESPN.
We are getting closer and closer to the NFL season, and that means it's time for Daily Fantasy with your friends at Underdog Fantasy. With our friends at Underdog Fantasy, you can play every single day, and everyone did that last year. Over 1 million fans got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. You can join in and you compete against other underdogs. You can win up to 325 times your initial money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats. I'm going to build a little bit of an entry here for the Cardinals game today. I think there's going to be a little bit more offense. In fact, I'm just going to base this off revenge. We're going to go with Tommy Pham getting higher than 1.5 total bases against his former team in the Padres. Manny Machado higher than 1.5 total bases because he's on fire. And then I'm going to throw in with the Nutty Newt Bars of Newt Nation here in the studio. We're going to throw in Lars Nootbaar higher than 1.5 total bases as well. Manny Machado, Tommy Pham, Lars Nootbaar. Let's see some offense in the Cardinals game today. Higher than 1.5 total bases. all on them today, and that's how you can play on Underdog Fantasy. Again, you can already start building your entries for week 1 of the NFL season. Now that the preseason's finally winding down, don't have to worry about those injuries as much. You can start building those week 1 entries. Making picks on Underdog is so simple, it's even easier to get started. Just go to their mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with promo code ROCC, and Underdog will give you a highly discounted pick to use on your first pick 'em entry, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer offer of a gimme first pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present in state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Conservatively play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Matthew, Randy, and the text line open, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! All right, Brooke, I mentioned this earlier that I don't think it'll happen, but I want to know what you think. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals will add a perceived high-impact player before the 2025 season.
Ooh, I like how you didn't say which specifically. So it could be a pitcher, it could be a positional player.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
high
question?
Impact?
Yes.
By whose perception when you say perceived? The Cardinals or the fans?
Important follow-up.
Or ours?
Yeah, by the fans in general.
Okay.
Somebody who, a difference maker.
I will leave it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that.
I just can't see it for some reason.
Last year, Sonny Gray was perceived as a difference maker.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing. I'm going to leave it too.
I'm going to leave it. I can't see them doing that necessarily, especially with all those young players that we were talking about earlier coming up. By the way, Quinn Matthews is doing really well down in the minors. So maybe he comes into the picture next year. Okay, so take it or leave it. Barry Bonds holds the single season record of 73 home runs. Take it or leave it. Aaron Judge will break that record during his career.
Good one, and I'm going to leave it. I don't think that he gets to 73. He needs helpers.
Oh, he needs helpers. Because then you have Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire's right behind him with 70. So, those guys.
Yeah, they had helpers.
Yeah, they did.
Allegedly.
Yeah. But isn't that make it even more amazing that Aaron Judge is able to accomplish that without anything?
He's incredible. He's, in terms of just overall hitting ability, and that's average and power, he might be the best guy without helpers in our lifetime.
I think that's fair.
I think he probably gets to. I'm thinking we're probably talking about him hitting the 70 mark in the last few days of the season. So the question is does he have this like crazy run where he hits like 6 in like a 4-game span or something like that? Because I think he's just so damn consistent.
He is.
And so if he does have like a ridiculous September where he hits 20 home runs, which would be what Sammy Sosa did that one time.
Get him to 70.
He had some helpers. That would get him to 70. But if he has like a high teens home run month, not unheard of, that would be wild to see. I kind of want to see it. That'd be fun.
It'd be fun.
He's on pace to hit 63 home runs right now.
I'm counting.
Pretty good.
I'm calling 67.
Ooh. Okay, mark it. Randy, what do you have?
I say that he's at 50 now with about 35 games. I'll say that he hits, I think 63 is a good number. Oh, he's at 51, isn't he? So I'll say 64.
I'll say that he ties Sammy Sosa with 66.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, the text line is open. By the way, we should tell you that Jordan Walker, who's going to break all of Aaron Judge's records.
Wait, what was that line again?
He's going to break all of Aaron Judge's records? Jordan Walker?
Yeah.
You aren't agreeing with me?
I like that. I liked that.
His OPS is at 747 for Memphis.
Take it or leave it. Peanut butter sandwiches with a bowl of chili should be on restaurant menus.
Gonna leave that.
So, like all restaurants? Like I could go to Capitol Grill and they'll have a peanut butter sandwich with chili. I like that concept.
Is this like are you dipping the peanut butter sandwich in the chili? Or is this just like a flavor compliment thing? Because I have to know which one it is to decide if I'm disgusted or kind of intrigued.
Is it crunchy peanut butter or smooth peanut butter? I have a lot of follow-up questions for this person.
I just don't think that that's something.
Is it beanless chili?
I mean,
is it?
Yeah. This
a lot of questions we can ask.
Is this something that you've heard of in this room in the past? A peanut butter sandwich with chili?
No, I haven't.
So this is something that is new to our room.
Yes, I've heard of Skyline chili with cinnamon rolls.
He says you dunk the peanut butter sandwich in the chili, and listen, no.
Not on board.
No, I don't know if that goes together.
I don't like the idea of dunking sandwiches. I don't like I get like the idea of like a little sauce, maybe like an au jus dip, but like
like an au jus.
You're telling me like you want me to take like regular sliced bread and dip that? That's gonna get
Somebody said sounds like a serial killer meal.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, look, it wasn't me this time saying something that triggered you guys. And people keep saying dipping it. Wow, I guess people do this.
Okay.
Somebody says it was a stable high school, middle school, elementary school lunchroom delicacy.
Okay. I could buy that.
I'm sorry that your childhood scarred you.
Yeah.
We didn't do that in our lunchroom.
Kids do weird things, though.
That is very fair. But this seems to be a universal experience for a lot of people.
Interesting.
Unless they all went to the same school, which is feasible as well.
Yeah, that's true. In this town? Yeah.
Yes.
Take it or leave it. If the Rams had stayed, Jeff Fisher would still be the head coach.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that.
I don't like how fast you took that.
Yeah, he would be.
What is he up to these days?
I knew he did a lot of the interview for the McNair special.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was.
Did you watch that yet?
I did, yeah.
The documentary on Netflix?
Yeah, I did.
How was it?
It was okay. Not great.
Anything new?
No, not really.
So what was, it was just the story
Basically telling the story, yeah.
Oh.
It's stuff that had already pretty much come out.
Oh, okay. That's not that exciting.
Then you got Fisher, just being Fisher, trying to be an actor or whatever.
Stuff scares me.
Trying to be an actor.
He tried to be a coach.
He's a SoCal guy. Oh, Randy.
Oh, Randy.
13-3 with Kerry Collins. Good coach.
Oh, yeah, great.
This is just, I'm worried to be living in St. Louis. I can't walk these streets anymore. 314, take it or leave it. Grilled cheese with maple syrup?
No, that's not real.
What is wrong with you people?
That's not real.
Who would think of that?
That's not real.
Sociopath?
Yeah.
You're just messing with us at this point. That's what I think is going on here.
Maple syrup, yeah.
What?
No, I guess what they thought of was, okay, we put syrup on French toast, so let's try it on grilled cheese. But I'm not going for it.
Yeah,
Maybe somebody thought, for some weird reason, that they saw grilled cheese and thought, oh, French toast, let me put some syrup on it. Maybe that's what happened.
What is going on here? There's a lot of people who actually have done this. And then somebody, now this is normal. Grilled cheese dipped in tomato soup.
Yep,
yes.
that's normal.
That's a perfect pairing. But we have a lot of people texting in saying that they do the peanut butter in this chili.
Listen, people are like, this was served all the time in Catholic elementary schools. In what year, my guy? Because I'm saying this right now, from 97 to 05 in my Catholic elementary school, absolutely not.
So
square pizza, man, like square pizza, taco days every once in a while. Like, what are we doing here?
So, Brooke and Matthew, I'm going to defend St. Louis at every turn. Okay, every turn, but I have trouble dealing more with ketchup on eggs than I do.
I never got that either.
Yeah, the ketchup on egg. Now, here's a weird thing about me, though. Will I make an egg burrito without salsa on it? No.
It's something different with the ketchup. Is it a texture thing?
It is, yeah.
It is. It is different. It's sweeter, so it kind of adds. I don't mind ketchup with eggs. It's not something that I would choose to do. I'm a hot sauce on eggs person.
No, I agree with that. Because
specifically Tabasco.
Eggs need some flavor.
Yeah. Yes.
But, and I'm salt on eggs, but I'm not, sorry, doctor, but I'm not somebody who would particularly enjoy ketchup on eggs.
No, I never understood that. Never did.
All right, you got one more, Matthew? Are you look bewildered and befuddled?
Yeah, because there's a lot of
says
people.
grape jelly on a grilled cheese. Grilled cheese are beautiful, wonderful creations, and I don't know why you people are slathering these abominable sauces on them. So they have their own places. I'm frustrated right now.
People are lying to
grilled
this.
cheese. What are you doing to
People
them?
are lying to us because somebody just texted in apples and ketchup. You are lying to us. You are gaslighting
Skittles
us.
and milk?
Yeah, no.
You are. Where are the bodies buried, my guy?
Okay, so what about, let me give you this idea.
Okay.
What about peanut butter and jelly on a burger?
I have had that before. Can't say that I enjoy it.
I think it's interesting.
Have you had it before?
I have, yeah. I wouldn't do it at home, but I've ordered it at a restaurant.
I just think that, no, I haven't done that at home. I think a good classic cheeseburger is fine. Sometimes there's a lot of these restaurants where they get a little too crazy with the cheeseburgers where I'm like, now we're just putting a bunch of crazy stuff on there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, we're throwing stuff at the wall hoping that it works.
I think so too. Now somebody with a restaurant's going to listen and make a cheeseburger with peanut butter and chili on it, just to see if people will buy it because they think that that's something that everybody likes.
The same person who texted in grilled cheese and tomato soup like it was a revelation also texted in peanut butter and banana sandwich. Yeah, my guy, you're just texting in the normal things, and I want to thank you for that.
Yeah,
please. Yeah, somebody said it's a shame that Danny Mac isn't in today. I bet he would have some strong opinions.
He'd be furious.
He would be promoting the next segment.
He would be because he doesn't like. I'm so intrigued by him and his food takes. I learn something new every single day. No tomatoes.
Intrigue's a word.
Never had tomatoes.
Right.
Has never had a pickle.
Yeah,
I don't get
it's
that.
It's amazing.
What was the other one? There was another one that he hasn't had.
He's never had onions, I don't think.
I am amazed by that.
Me too. It's incredible. So here's the rehab burger therapy down in Scottsdale. It's peanut butter, grape jelly, bacon, and sriracha on a burger. Interesting combo. But you got the sweet and the hot.
Yeah. Can I tell you one last one? Because somebody texted this in, and I've heard a lot about this when I moved here to St. Louis. Just turned on the radio and heard food talk. Just yesterday, my buddy told me that the St. Paul sandwich is a St. Louis thing.
It is.
Born here and lived here for 24 years. Never heard of it. Looks nasty, though. So tell me about this. I have seen the St. Paul sandwich. I haven't tried it. But what is this St. Louis staple, the St. Paul sandwich?
It's an egg foo young patty between two pieces of white bread. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, that's all I got for it. I guess sometimes, different places will do dill pickle, white onion, mayonnaise, and lettuce.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And leave the sprouts out of it.
Is there typically sprouts?
Yeah,
some places egg foo young patties have a lot of mung bean sprouts in them, and some people don't like that.
Yep.
Okay, somebody can tell me the best spot in town for it, and I'll give it a try.
I think white onions are also in the patty, too.
Do you know where Chop Suey is on? No, not Chop Suey. It's Chonghua. Chonghua on Olive. It's on the.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Chonghua. It's on the. If you're going back towards U City, it's on the right side.
I feel like most St. Louis Chinese takeout places will have a St. Paul sandwich.
Chonghua's really good. So, just a little FYI. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your text. Coming up, if the Cardinals had a chance to have a winning season before this weekend, do they now? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, at Fenton Bar and Grill, college football Saturdays start this Saturday, August 31st. They've got great beer specials, unbelievable bucket specials throughout the day, great drink specials as well with 3 Olive. They've got great shot specials, and there's 6 for $6 appetizer special all day until 6 p.m. 6 great appetizers for $6 a piece. Plus, you need to try the greatest trash wings that you'll ever have. We had some here Friday here at 101 ESPN, and the greatest trash wings that you'll ever have are at the Fenton Bar and Grill, where they have 10 TVs. They'll have games with audio, and, of course, it's your place to hang out for Mizzou football during the 2024 season. A phenomenal serving staff. Alicia will be there, Jamie and Dawn and Rachel, and you can say hi to Casey and Heather. The whole group is so much fun, and they enjoy football Saturdays, and you will too at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They'll have private parties available. Get in touch with Chuck if you need to, and just stop by on a Saturday and enjoy the college football at the Fenton Bar and Grill.
Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. There's a lot of things we won't talk about, a lot of people that we won't discuss. We will, as you know, Brooke, I get a check from the Cardinals. Well, I'm supposed to get checks. I haven't seen one yet. But,
have you asked them where it's at? Because I feel like you've been saying that for a while.
Well, I haven't been saying it, but several listeners have been saying it.
Oh, yeah.
And we're a soft media. And so we get this text, which I completely agree with. It says, this is from the 505, I knew you were too scared to tell the world about Oreos and spray cheese. You can't handle it. Oreos and spray cheese.
There's no way that that's real, Randy. There's no way. We got so many texts that came in, and I was reading all of them. Believe me, I'm reading every single food item that you guys are sending in, and some of them I'm a little terrified. I will give a lot of things a chance. I'm not a picky eater whatsoever, but Oreos and spray cheese is maybe where I draw the line here.
Yeah, I think I would probably draw the line. How does somebody think of that?
You're just bored in your kitchen when you're a kid and probably just test it out.
Yeah. Your son, you got my Cheese Whiz. That's how we came up with. And I know that there are people out there that are listening that like me as a kid, and you guys are probably too young for this. I made fried bologna and did fried bologna sandwiches when I was a kid, and it was absolutely delicious.
Mm-hmm. My dad would make those all the time.
Really?
Still does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some places in the Midwest that'll, like in St. Louis or Missouri, that'll make you an absolutely killer fried bologna sandwich.
I didn't even know you could still get bologna.
Oh, God.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Spam. Like, some people don't like Spam, and one of my favorite treats is masubi. So, have you guys ever had masubi before?
I don't don't believe I have.
It's Spam that's usually cooked in with some teriyaki and then on top of rice and then wrapped in seaweed. And it's huge in Hawaii. And it's one of my favorite things. People are always shocked when I say that. I feel like Spam is delicious. I'll have Spam fried rice. I think it's great with everything.
It depends on what it's with and how you prepare it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just don't put it on your peanut butter sandwich,
and
please.
Don't eat it with a spoon right out of the Spam can.
Oh, no.
Don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that.
So, Brooke, the Cardinals' best hitter this year, I think this is beyond arguable, has been Willson Contreras. He's their only hitter that has a plus 800 OPS at 848. He leads them in OPS plus, 15 homers, 36 RBIs, and only 301 at-bats. He's been their best hitter. And the Cardinals lost him again to a broken finger on Saturday night during the shutout loss to the Twins. And once I found out that he was going to be gone for another month, I thought, okay, there's no way this team can win more than it loses the rest of the way. The Cardinals are at 500 right now, and I don't see, and obviously this is nobody's fault. This is nothing a manager can fix. This is nothing that at this stage of a year, a general manager or a Pobo can fix. This is just part of what happens in sports. I don't see a way that the Cardinals can finish over 500 without Willson Contreras playing. Do you?
No, I can't, for many different reasons. As you mentioned there, what he's able to do behind the plate, but also at the plate, what he's been able to provide. I mean, with this offense and how streaky and very sporadic that it's been, Willson Contreras has been a pretty much steady force and has been able to provide some sort of consistency from this team offensively. I mean, he had 15 homers, 849 OPS before he got injured. Another freak accident. Just side note there, I feel for him. I feel for Willson in this situation because I can tell you, just being around him and seeing how he goes about his business, he truly is such a passionate player. And I know a lot of these guys, of course, are competing every single day. With Willson Contreras, you can see behind the scenes and obviously at the games that he really is passionate about making sure he can do whatever he can to help this team win. And I think that that's infectious and great to have in your team and in your clubhouse and as one of the leaders of your team. So that's a huge loss in many different ways for this group because he provides that.
Yeah, by the way, he's played a lot of first base in his career for the Cubs in his last couple of years there. I wonder next year, if Goldie isn't back and when Goldie doesn't play, I wonder who the best defensive first baseman the Cardinals have in the organization is. Would it be Burleson? Would it be Contreras? Would it be Walker, who, by the way, did play a lot of third base, so he's played the infield and is tall? I wonder if Goldie isn't the first baseman, who the main first baseman will be next year.
Alec Burleson, he's the one who's getting the most reps there. But I think that that's a really good question because one of the big issues that the Cardinals actually have within their prospects and their farm system is they don't have much infield depth. We talked about Thomas Sajaci and his bat. He provides a lot. But Randy, you've discussed this a lot too about defensively they don't think that he's there just yet. I don't think he's ever played at first base. So I'm not saying that. But when it comes to their overall infield depth that they have down throughout their organization, there's not much there.
No, and Weatherholt, the first base or the first round pick, might wind up getting on the fast track. And one of the problems they have with the lack of infield depth is Nolan Gorman's inability to hit. Things would be a lot better. And they don't have a backup shortstop. I would assume that Brendan Donovan is the backup shortstop. Well, Fermin. But for you, do you want... Fermin would have to be what Crawford was this year, a guy that gets less than 100 at-bats. And Wynn is just going to have to play a lot for this team to win. But back to our original question, I think that this team now, as it's presently constituted, is incapable of winning more than it loses without Willson Contreras. And that's a shame because that's one thing that you can't control if you're the Cardinals.
I agree. Well, we already knew that the margin for error was very thin for this team, but now you have to pretty much play perfect baseball the rest of the way if you want to get into the playoffs because of those teams that are ahead of them in the wild card race. We can't even talk about the division anymore. That's so far out of reach that you can't even think about that. But when you're looking at even the wild card race, those other teams definitely have a lot more pieces, and Willson Contreras is one of the Cardinals' pieces, and now he's not part of the equation. Now I'm curious about how these younger guys in Pedro Pages and now with Ivan Herrera, how do you think that Ali Ramal will go about splitting up their playing time? Because it seems like they always say that Pedro Pages is the better defensive option. Ivan Herrera, though, he provides a lot offensively for this team, too. Because
Pages has improved offensively, I say 4 out of 5 games, 80% of the time for Pages over Herrera. And Herrera, he's got to improve his throwing. That's an off-season thing. If he's capable of doing it, That'd be great. But I just love the idea of Pages kind of becoming ingrained as the Cardinal catcher. If he winds up being the Cardinals' everyday catcher, I think he can win with him.
There's a lot of people, though, on social media who have pointed out that maybe doesn't have the strong arm that a lot of people are talking about. But I go back to that conversation, remember, we had with Benji Molina in studio. And what was the biggest things that he pointed out about Pedro Pages is that he really has that rhythm down with the pitchers. And you see that all the time, right? You see how comfortable the pitchers are with Pedro Pages.
Right, and that's the biggest thing a catcher can do. And he's 20% throwing runners out this year, and that's 20% obviously for his career. That's right around league average. So I can live with that. I can live with him being at 20% throwing out. Now, you'd love to have a guy that throws out 40%. Yadier Molina's not walking through that door. So if I can get a guy that's about league average, I'm okay with that. That's just what it is.
I saw it running around, and we get a text today where somebody points out and says Contreras has been one of the best hitters in the lineup overall, but the Cardinals have a much better record without him in the lineup. They are close to 10 games under 500 with him in the lineup. If you just break that down, the entire team was playing a lot better, just playing a lot of better team baseball when he was injured, and then they went on a slouch when he was in here, but it's not because of him. It's not because of him entering the lineup that they went on those losing games. It's not because of him in the lineup as the only person hitting above with an 800 OPS before he got injured the first time. It wasn't his fault they were losing all those games to start the season either. It's correlation doesn't always equal causation. That's a spurious stat and doesn't actually mean anything.
Oh, correlation, causation, and spurious all in the 5 seconds of each other.
That was great. That was brilliant. I enjoyed that, Rocc.
Well done.
Yeah.
That is today's Fresh Take. Chris Kerber is next on 101 ESPN.
Well, the beginning of this week is going to be hotter than, and you can insert your own word, whatever you want there. That means you want to make sure that your air conditioning unit is working. This is when you need it. So hopefully you've called Classic Air Care. They've already been by just to make sure that back in the spring that things are maintained. But look, if something goes wrong, don't mess around with the heat. Call Classic Air Care. Get online at classicaircare.com. You can book a repair appointment if you need it. They've been making people comfortable since 1926, and they have a 4.8 Google rating. Nick L. was definitely a miracle on a hot day, said Derek Scott. He had the AC fixed in less than an hour. He was kind and polite, respectful, explained everything in a way I could understand. This is the kind of week in St. Louis where you do the maintenance and you make sure that you've done everything you can to make sure it's working for when this hits. But we also know that repairs are needed. So sometimes you're just going to have to pick up the phone and call and say, I need somebody. It's hotter than you know what, and I've got to get my air conditioning working. Classic Air Care will be there for you. They will get it done. And you know that the quality is going to be fantastic. Go to classicaircare.com. You can book an appointment online. You can call them as well, but they've been making people comfortable since 1926.
It's amazing that we're just about 3 weeks away from the Blues starting training camp, and we didn't get a chance to talk to Chris Kerber about the additions last week from Edmonton, Dylan Holloway, and the defenseman. And so we'll talk to Kerbs now here on 101 ESPN. Kerbs, I still have to get these names down. But Philip Broberg. Philip Broberg is our other guy. Yeah. We've got so many players now. It's amazing. But I wanted to get your take. We talked a little bit about last Monday about the potential addition of those two. But now that they are here as members of the team and you've had a chance to kind of think about it, what's your take?
Well, I still just love the overall, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, perspective, approach, message, whatever it may be. There's several words you can use for Doug Armstrong in terms of what he's done with this roster. He has not guaranteed any young guy a spot, whether it be a Zach Dean, a Zach Bolduc, who finished the year here and played well. They're going to have to come in and earn it because now they've got to beat out veteran players. And you're beating out veteran players that are trying to continue their career. That's like a wounded dog. So I love the competition that they created. I love the fact that if everybody stays healthy, Doug's going to have some very difficult decisions to make. The clear direction has been adding some size and some speed, so that is also part of the process. Now, how does this all shake out when the puck drops for real in October and you're playing for points that matter and you feel like the Stanley Cup playoffs are on the line from game one? That remains to be seen. But they're at least giving themselves an opportunity with that kind of competition and veteran presence to be competitive, and that's what you got to like.
And one of the things, Kerbs, that I thought of is that, granted, these two are young players, but their size and style would have fit in with the Blues Stanley Cup championship team.
Yes, very much so. So you kind of see that coming back a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
They just, some speed, so the ability to skate, the ability to with that size, hold the puck in the zone. So, size and skating is one aspect of it, Randy, but another real aspect of this is just going to have to be mental desire and mental toughness of this team. Are you going to play the game the right way? It's hard sometimes, to want to, with the puck on your stick, to want to put it down into the corner, but that's the right play. Do you have the discipline to make the right play, to do what Bobby Plager always said, let the clock be your coach and not try to dangle somebody with 3 minutes in a game and a one-goal game, that kind of stuff. And those are also some habits that we have definitely seen wane over the last couple of seasons. Those habits have to come back because you can have size, you can have some speed, you can even have some skill. But if you don't have the smart sense to play right in the right moment, it really isn't going to matter anyway. So it all has to come together yet.
Kerbs, how much more improved do you think this offense will be this season? I know that, of course, as you mentioned, a lot of things have to happen during training camp where they'll still be evaluating guys as they look at lines. But just on paper, how much more improved will this offense be?
Honestly, Brooke, I don't know that I look at it and see anybody that's come in or been brought in and said, well, this is going to be a much better team offensively. I think if you play a full season with the success that Drew Bannister had on the power play, that's going to be a huge help there. But, you know, Brandon Saad, 26 goals last year. That was a career high for him. I don't know. Can he do it again? Sure. Are you expecting it? Well, he hadn't done it before, right? So is 20 to 25 good enough? What does Jake Neighbors do? What kind of season does Pavlovic-Nevic do? Do they decide to try to play Pavlovic-Nevic at center? And does that mess with his point totals a little bit? You know, Braden Shen was a little streaky last year. Is he a little more consistent in lift totals? So there are those kind of questions, but I don't look at it and think, well, you've added this pure sniper, you've added this pure playmaker, you've added this one factor that is going to be a huge boost. I don't know that I see that yet. Maybe a Dvorsky comes in and is that guy. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see.
Kerbs, as we get ready for training camp, and we're still a couple of weeks away, but obviously the two new guys from Edmonton are going to be storylines. What else are you looking at as storylines that you're going to want to follow for training camp?
Well, I love the Blues goaltending. Did all last year. Just see how that one goes at the beginning of the year without a shred of doubt. That's a big storyline for me just to follow. To me, the Dvorsky storyline is a big one.
That's what
without a shred of doubt. Yeah, the Dvorsky storyline is a really big one without a shred of doubt. And then, then to me, what do they do defensively here, Randy? You know, how does this thing shake out? They've got a lot of veteran D-men, and then you've got Perunovic and Tucker, you know, that were knocking on the door last year. Perunovic is on a one-way deal. What are the pairings are going to look like? Is it Broberg with Parayko? Do they put Broberg with Falk? I can keep Letty with Parayko. Where does Suter fit in? Joseph. Like, there's that. To me, that's probably storyline number 3.
Kerbs, another question that I have for you, just looking at this offer sheet and how it obviously worked out for Doug Armstrong, do you think that we'll see more of that in the NHL? Because I know a lot of people were talking about it as kind of being taboo. I loved Army's comments about what he said about that, basically just kind of saying, well, if it was my own mother, like I would still do it anyways. But do you think we'll see more of that now?
Brooke, it's a copycat league. I think a lot of things had to come together for this one to work the way it did. I think had the Blues made just one offer sheet, I don't know that it would have gone through. But when you combine all the different factors that we had discussed of tight cap situation for Edmonton, where they are in their winning window curve, considering themselves a championship contender, the absolute lack of draft picks with no first, second, third, or fifth round draft pick in next summer's draft, so no capital whatsoever to improve your team if somebody goes down. To me, all those factors led to this. I think you might see some more general managers willing to try it, but there's the flip side, and we talked about this last week a little bit. Forget, you've got the Detroit Red Wings trying to figure out Mo Seider, and they've got a ton of cap space, and you didn't see an offer sheet thrown at him because whatever that is, one, the Detroit Red Wings are going to match it. And Doug Armstrong's comment of, look, we didn't do this to screw over another team. We did this because we want those players. That's an important aspect here, So I hope we see some more of it to a degree because I think it's exciting. It's good for the players. It's good for the league. It shows that the CBA works. But again, I think a lot had to come together for this one to work out the way it did.
Finally, Kerbs, this is a fun time of year. We've got the Blues and Brews coming up over at the brewery. The Blues always do a great job of getting their fans ready for the season, and I know that you're excited about all of this stuff that the Blues have initiated in the last few years to get ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, you go back a number of years ago when we welcomed, Paul Stastny and Chris Butler back with an event at Chaminade and then at Ballpark Village Icebreaker, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's evolved into this great event at Anheuser-Busch with country music and beer and the backdrop, the Clydesdales, all that. It's fantastic. The involvement, the connection with the community, I think, continues to be a very important mantra of our ownership group, and I think the organization with the mantle is running with it terrifically. And Randy, like these players are still doing things that you may not see quite as public. For example, today out in Meadowbrook, Colton Parayko has his Project 55 golf tournament. It's the third year of his tournament. He's had great success. He raises money not only for Blues for Kids, but also for Ronald McDonald House. And the cool part about this, like his family comes in, his brother, his sister, they come in and they help run it with him. And so you're going to see a lot of great businesses, some Blues players out there, and people having a good time. So even behind the scenes during the summertime, it's not just the organization in terms of front office, but the players are doing their things as well, and it's special.
That's great. Kerb's, always good to hear your voice. Thanks so much for the time. Have a great day and a great week.
Okay, guys, have an awesome week. Cheers.
You too. Thanks, Kerbs. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we had nobody beat me in the fight on Friday, did they? I was happy this weekend.
No, you beat him in. It was his second shot. You beat him in a second straight tiebreaker. Okay. Like he beat you on Thursday in a tiebreaker, then you beat him in the Friday tiebreaker.
Does it actually ruin your weekend if you lose on a Friday? No. There's no way.
No, it doesn't. It was fine. I didn't even remember. But we do need a fighter, and that means you need to text in 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight. And if Matthew picks you, then you can fight me next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. Late game heroics gave the Cardinals a 3-2 victory over the Twins yesterday, securing the series win. A ninth inning error on a potential game-ending double play ball gave the Cardinals an extra chance, and Lars Newbar hit a 2-run single in the top of the ninth inning to complete the late rally. The win allowed the Cardinals to get back to the 500 mark for the season at 65-65. Eric Fetty struck out 7 in 6 innings, allowing just 2 hits and walked 3. The Cardinals be at home today to begin a 4-game series against the Padres. Kyle Gibson will be the starter for the Redbirds, and it will be the first time Padres manager Mike Schilt has been back at Busch Stadium since he was fired by the Cardinals back in 2021. First pitch today is at 6:45.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals take 2 out of 3 against the Twins thanks to a rubber match win on Sunday and Lars Nootbaar's 2-run single in the top of the 9th. They will start a series against the Padres tonight, 6:45 first pitch. It's a battle of the righties. Randy Vasquez taking on the Cardinals' Kyle Gibson. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC back in MLS action, and they walk away with 1 point as they draw 4-4 with the Portland Timbers. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Randy, and Rockio here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Sean. Sean, how are you doing this morning?
Great. How about you guys?
Doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Yeah. I listen to the Fast Lane a lot, so I kind of know how, theirs works. But yeah, first time on here.
Ooh, have you participated in the gauntlet?
Not yet. They haven't let me on yet, so still trying to get on that.
We're just such a better show.
Well, now you get to do the fight.
Yeah, guy, we're just so much better than them.
Yeah, look at us. Look, we're giving you the opportunity, so please remember that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They actually returned my text for one.
Yes.
Nice.
See, we're amazing.
Look at us. Look at us. We pay attention. All right, you ready for question number 1, Sean? Okay. On this day in Cardinals history, Gary Templeton chose not to run out a play, and the fans let him hear about it. He then responded with an obscene gesture and would be suspended by Whitey Herzog. Who were the Cardinals playing in that game? Was it the Cubs, the Giants, or the Mets?
Well, considering I wasn't born yet, let's just go the Cubs.
What year were you born, Sean?
2003.
Okay, yeah, I have an 81. Geez, Sean's a young one.
Yeah, you are.
That makes me feel so old. Jesus. Which NFL franchise has the most MVP awards in their franchise history with 10? Is it the 49ers, the Colts, or the Packers?
Let's go. Aaron's got, 2 or 3? Let's go the Packers.
All right, question 3. Sean, Pete Rose won 2 World Series with the Big Red Machine in 1975 and 76. Which team did he capture his 3rd World Series championship with? Was it the Orioles, the Phillies, or the Expos?
Oh, my dad's going to kill me. Let's go Phillies.
All right. And which St. Louis high school product held the all-time career FBS rushing touchdown record from 2012 to 2015? Was that Lawrence Maroney, Monty Ball, or Ezekiel Elliott?
Ezekiel Elliott.
All right. We'll double-check our score. We'll bring in Randy Carricker.
How are you feeling,
All
Sean?
right. Could be worse.
Yeah, exactly. And you were born in 2003, so that's very fair. Here comes Randy in right now with an assortment of grapes. 21.
Yeah.
Wow, such a baby.
Have
Well,
you
I
had
shouldn't
the-
be saying
not
that.
21
I was going to say, have you had the 21st birthday yet?
Yeah, next month.
There you go. Well, happy early
Ooh.
birthday. It's a big one.
Any big
Oh,
plans
thank you.
for the 21st?
None yet, but I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. I
Good
guess.
group of friends will change that.
Yeah, exactly. Randy, say hi to Sean.
Sean, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks for playing. We appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you.
First-time fighter.
All right. Great
He's
to-
excited. All right, ready for question number 1, Randy?
Ready.
On this day in Cardinals history, Gary Templeton chose not to run out a play, and the fans let him hear about it. He then responded with an obscene gesture and would be suspended by Whitey Herzog.
What gesture was it? What gesture was it? That's not
it
the
It was
question.
obscene, Randy.
We
No,
don't,
that's
we
not
don't
the
have
question.
to recreate it.
Okay.
That would have been a good trivia question.
That would have been a good trivia question. Who are the Cardinals playing in that game?
Ooh, this is interesting. I think I know, but I'm going to do the lifeline just in case.
Okay. Cubs, Giants, or Mets?
I think it was the Giants.
Randy, which NFL franchise has the most MVP awards with 10?
Which
NFL franchise has the most MVP awards in their history with 10?
10 MVPs. I kind of like the Colts off the top of my head with Peyton Manning. Oh, you know what, though? The Packers, because Rodgers had 4 and Favre had 3. That's 7. I would guess like Bart Starr probably had one at some point. Packers are interesting. Colts with Johnny U and with Manning. I think we're looking at 4, 5, 6 there. Burt Jones, 7. Probably between those two. I don't think the Steelers have had that. It's the teams that have had the. I don't think the Niners, even with Montana and Young, had that. I'm going to go with the boy, these two teams both have storied histories too. Trying to think of another guy for either team that would have done it. But I think because of Favre and Rodgers and their history, I think I'll go with the Green Bay Packers.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right, question 3. Pete Rose won 2 World Series with the Big Red Machine in 1975 and 76. Which team did he capture his 3rd World Series championship with?
Phillies.
By the way, today's the anniversary of when he was banned from baseball.
Oh.
Happy anniversary.
Cardinals were trying to get him when he went to Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Cardinals, he almost became a St. Louis Cardinal.
That could have affected the Templeton story.
It could have, yeah.
Randy, which St. Louis high school product held the all-time career FBS rushing touchdown record from 2012 to 2015?
I will go 2012. Okay, this would have been right there. I'm going to go with Monty Ball at the University of Wisconsin. Timberland product.
All right, we have a winner in today's fight. Sean going up against Randy, who's now on his new favorite show because we picked him for the fight when he doesn't get picked for the gauntlet. So, does Sean take down Randy in his first ever fight, or does Randy Kerber open the week with a win? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Kerber.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Oh, there we go. I was like, wait a minute.
I had one more button I had to press. I had a
Randy was just firing away over there.
I had one button to press, so Randy pressed 9, and it worked out well. Sean, I'm sorry. Randy Kerber hit the jack on you, and he beat you 4-2 today.
That's all right.
Yeah, you did good. Two's a very respectable score. Let's go through the questions and answers on this one. There were some old school questions, and they did get you. On this day in Cardinals history, Gary Templeton chose not to run out a play that was a dropped third called strike, and the fans let him hear about it. He responded with an obscene gesture, and Whitey Herzog would suspend him and fine him $5,000. And they were playing the Giants that day. They would go on to absolutely shellac the Giants 9-4 with a little bit of extra fire after that moment, I guess.
As it was diagnosed, it turned out Tempe had to go on the disabled list with a chemical imbalance.
Yes, he went to the hospital for depression. Yeah, he went to the hospital for depression later that year.
A little different than that.
Okay. Which NFL franchise has won the most MVP awards? And Randy, you are locked in on what the big discrepancy is between these two, because at 10 is the Packers, at 9 is the Colts, and then you drop all the way down to 5 where you have the Patriots, the 49ers, and I believe one other team that I'm blanking on right now. Here is the breakdown for these two franchises. Rodgers is 4, 3 by Brett Favre, and then 1 each by Bart Starr, Jim Taylor, and Paul Hornung. And for the Colts, it goes 5 by Peyton Manning, 3 by Johnny Unitas, 1 by Earl Morrall.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
And Pete Rose won 2 World Series with the Big Red Machine in 75 and 76, and then he would go on in the early 80s to win a World Series championship with the Phillies. And it was Monty Ball, also a lot of red jerseys today. Cardinals, Reds, Phillies, and then Wisconsin was where Monty Ball went after playing out in Wentzville here in St. Louis. He would then set the record. It would be broken just a few years later by Navy's Nate Reynolds, I want to say, is the Navy player who broke it, obviously, with that triple option. But yeah, Monty Ball owned that record from 2012 to 2015. He also is second in career with the highest amount of rushing touchdowns in one season behind Barry Sanders. So a 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today over Sean. Sean, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Appreciate having me on. You know, they always say, you do it in your car, and it's like, how are these guys missing all of them? And then you actually get on it, and it's like, oh, wow, this is actually kind of hard.
Yeah, it's intimidating. You did great, though, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate it.
That's Sean with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are being regarded as the best 1-2 punch of our time. But for a year, are they really that much better than what the Cardinals featured in 04? That's next on 101 ESPN. I'm such a big fan of Chesterfield Fence and Deck. My fence is from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And if you're in the market for a fence or a deck, sunroom, screen room, you should get in touch with my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Their number is 800-300-4054, 800-300-4054 on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. And they have a mission, and it's a great one, to put quality and professionalism first in everything they do. So when they build a project for you, they want you to be very happy with it. And that's why they have 5-year labor warranties on everything they do, and they have substantial material warranties as well. And that's how they've earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. When you see a fence, when you're driving around town and see a fence with Chesterfield Fence and Deck, you know that it's a high-quality fence. And they have beautiful cedar and vinyl Vecca decks. That Vecca deck pewter color is absolutely beautiful. I've seen it, and I love it. And you'll love working with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Whether it is a fence, a deck, sunroom, screen room, patio, pergola, Chesterfield Fence and Deck is going to do great work for you. They're on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. You can call them 800-300-4054 to set up your in-home appointment, or just give them my name and to get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign, you have the very best. hearing and reading a lot about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and with good reason. Those two are having absolutely magnificent years. Judge yesterday hitting home run number 51 on the season. Brooke, we talked earlier about how he could go down as the best hitter of our time with everything that he's doing. Certainly for one season at a time, this might be the best season for somebody that's not a steroid person.
I think that that's very fair to say because, as we mentioned earlier, Barry Bonds currently holds the single season record for home runs with 73. Right after that, it's Mark McGwire at 70, and then it's Sammy Sosa at 66. So that was my question earlier: is can we see Aaron Judge during the span of his career at least beat, maybe tie, but beat one of those records? I think he could get close to Sammy Sosa's.
I'm with you.
Because right now he's on pace for 63.
Right, 51 homers, 122 RBIs. Both of those stats lead the league, by the way. He's second in batting average in the American League. He's hitting .333 with a .465 on base. That's number one in the league. .736 slug, number one in the league. 1.202 OPS, number one in the league. .230 OPS plus, number one in the league, and 338 stolen bases, number one in the league. He also has 16 intentional walks this year, which is number one in the league. And you put together he with the Juan Soto, and it's hard to imagine that there could be a better pair. But there was a pair that might have been as good in 2004. Albert Pujols hit .331. Judge is hitting .333. Albert had a .415 on base. Judge with a .464 right now. Albert had a .657. Albert's OPS that year was 1.072. Judge is at 1.189. As we mentioned, Judge has 51 homers. But Jim Edmonds that year hit .301. Juan Soto is hitting .297. Now, Juan Soto also still has a month left in the season. Edmonds on base was .418. Soto's is just above his at .427. Edmonds got him in slug at .643 to .600, and Edmonds got him in overall OPS 1.061 to 1.027. Edmonds hit 42 again with a month left in the season. Soto has 37. Edmonds had him in RBIs, and Soto wins in OPS plus. When you take the overall numbers, though, of the two pairs of players, you can make a strong case for Pujols and Edmonds hitting in a ballpark that is much, and even then was much more difficult to hit home runs in Busch Stadium, the old Busch Stadium, than Yankee Stadium is.
Yeah, we just got a text from the 314 talking about that. Not to mention, Yankee Stadium is like Little League field.
Yeah.
It really is. So you do have to factor into that. But Randy, you were there. You were covering that 2004 team, which I think a lot of fans would say that is the best Cardinals team that has ever existed. 105 wins. As you mentioned there, what they were able to do offensively, they scored 855 runs that season, but it was just such a complete team. It felt like from top to bottom of what they were able to do.
Think about this, Brooke. Half of the starting eight was or will be in the Hall of Fame, and more than half should be.
Jim Edmonds should be.
Right. Albert's a Hall of Famer. Yachty's a Hall of Famer. Walker's a Hall of Famer. Roland's a Hall of Famer. Jim Edmonds should be. And then you had Reggie Sanders, and you had Ray Langford back, and you had a terrific leadoff man in Tony Womack, who is he's a World Series champion, multiple World Series appearer. And then you had Edgar Renteria, who was a really underrated leader. And then you had I'll say one of the best big game pitchers of his era in Chris Carpenter, with a really solid starting rotation behind him. That was an awesome team. The Yankees are not as good as a team as that 04 team was. One thing that you got to give them credit for, because the Cardinals did have Scott Rowland, and he had a great year in 2004. Judge and Soto are kind of doing it themselves. Stanton is okay, but he's got 22 home. He might have hit his 23rd yesterday. Stanton is not what Scott Rowland was in 2004. The Cardinals were better overall. I think that this group of Yankees is probably carried more by Judge and Soto.
Oh, 100% it is. And because you're talking about there, too, that MV3 that really anchored the early 2000s for the Cardinals. And I was thinking about that. I asked you during the break, I said, so who's the Scott Rowland of this group? Because he was a key part of that. And Stanton is the only thing you have close to it. But numbers-wise, he's not touched Scott Rowland, what he was able to do, especially in 2004 for that team. And I just don't think that you'll ever see another club like that for the Cardinals. They were so complete top to bottom. And I know that in 2006, it was a great team as well, obviously, with what they they were able to accomplish. But in 2004, that was just such a special group with what they were able to do.
Yeah, we will never see another Cardinal team like that. We could see another Yankee team like this one. Because of the cost of keeping those quality of players, we'll never have another Cardinal team like that. By the way, Roland that year, 314, 409 on base, 598 slug. He also had a plus 1,000 OPS at 1.007 and an OPS plus of 158, which is 58% better than average. Sin doesn't even compare. So 1.007 OPS for Roland that year. The OPS this year for Giancarlo Stanton is 801. He's got 23 homers and 57 RBIs, as we mentioned. Roland more than 30 and more than 100 RBIs. So different animals altogether in terms of the third of the MB3s for these two teams.
And they added Larry Walker there towards the end of the season. So it was just, there were so many pieces there that worked out well. I think it is very special with what Judge and Soto are doing, but it's hard to compare with what they were able to do with Pujols and with Roland and with Edmonds.
Yeah, I really do think that you can make a strong case for those two. For example, if you put Pujols and Edmonds in their prime in what Yankee Stadium is now, I think they put up numbers similar to what Judge and Soto, as a group, as a pair,
100%.
are putting up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I love Judge and Soto, and I appreciate the argument. I think it's probably a real argument in terms of the numbers. But I just think that our guys are getting a little bit of a short shrift here because they were really, really good.
Yeah, people forget about how special that group was in 2004.
That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we've got our rush hour reset. After a Cardinal victory in Minnesota, they get ready to take on the Padres tonight. Hey, do me a favor and check out your water heater. You know, houses in St. Louis commonly face water heater issues like sediment buildup and odd sounds and insufficient hot water and leaks. And no matter what issue you might be experiencing, Hoffman Brothers can quickly diagnose and resolve that problem. Schedule today at HoffmanBros.com or call 314-664-3011. And my friends at Hoffman Brothers are improving life in every home by being an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. And if you haven't seen First Alert or listened to Second Alert, you know that it's going to be hot in St. Louis. Well, you do now for the next week. So you need to make sure that your air conditioner is good to go. If your air conditioner is making weird sounds, get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. Get that maintenance done now. It's just like getting the oil changed in your car. And it's really important to know that your air conditioner can go out. And if it has a chance to go out, you need to get Hoffman Brothers out there to take a look. Don't forget to change your air filter, and you might want to just check out the Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan. I'm a member of that, and they're going to call and tell you when you need to get maintenance done on your heating and air conditioning system. Again, give Hoffman Brothers a call or a text 314-664-3011 or find them on the web at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you about why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. It's because they're helping me stick to my big goals that I had for myself this year. One, getting into better shape. I've always been in decent shape, I would say, but I wanted to get into better shape. So I started working with my personal trainer, Christine, over at the West location, and she has been fantastic. She's helped me so much on my physical journey and really growing myself. And it's been so much fun just going over to the West location and just catching up with her. Also, my other big goal was to get back into tennis, the sport I've played my entire life, and it's been so much fun getting back into it with Scott over at the West location. It's so much fun. They provide a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
9:03 in St. Louis, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, Randy, and Matthew with you. Danny will be back with us tomorrow morning as the Cardinals take on the Padres tonight after taking 2 of 3 from Minnesota over the weekend. Great performance yesterday from the Cardinals starter, Eric Fetty. He gives the Cardinals 6 innings. He allows 1 run on 2 hits, struck out 7 and walked 3. Then the bullpen was terrific with Kittredge, Romero, Armstrong giving 2/3 of an inning, and then Ryan Helsley, who came on for his 40th save. Cardinals getting a 9th inning RBI 2-run hit from Lars Nootbaar, and that added to a home run from Victor Scott II as the Cardinals win it 3-2 yesterday in Minnie.
That was huge for Lars Nootbaar for him to be able to do that. You need him to start heating up because we keep talking about that, about with his injuries and how much he has been out this season, and that's been kind of a continuing story with him in his career with the Cardinals, is that the injuries have really hampered the full potential of what we're expecting to see from him. You want to see him put a full season together, and I'm hoping that next year we'll be able to see that. But Lars Nootbaar has a lot of potential, and he can really help this club in many different ways. But I think there is some positives to take from this. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that, especially when you then go and look at the standings and see the reality of where the Cardinals are at right now, especially when it comes to the division. That's way out of the way. And then even the wild card, they would have to jump over some really, really tough teams at this point. But if you're looking for some positives of moving forward with this organization, I think that Andre Palante is in that discussion with the star rotation. I think that even Quinn Matthews in the minors, what he's been able to accomplish, that's something that I'm looking forward to. And Eric Fetty, I still think, is a great addition to this club. And then when you're looking at the star rotation, the cost for next season, I think that's another highlight of what he brings to the table. But there are some other question marks when it comes to Sonny Gray. We've seen those struggles, especially with the amount of home runs that he has given up this season. That's something that's concerning because even though we've talked about his career numbers, that's still really high from him that we've seen this year.
Well, and the other part about Sonny Gray, and this is, he's been a really good pitcher. But the other part of it, Brooke, is that he's getting up there in years. You know, he doesn't, because we haven't had him long, we don't think of it, but he's pitching his age 34 season next year. And as I've mentioned ad nauseum, he's not the most sturdy built individual. So in November he's going to turn 35. I don't know that we haven't seen the best of Sonny Gray in a Cardinal uniform.
I think that's fair. The age thing is a very important discussion, and sadly one that we've had to have a lot this season because we've talked about Paul Goldschmidt, we've talked about even Nolan Arenado, which I think that Nolan was probably, he made it clear, insinuated that he was maybe dealing with some health issues along the way this season, but you worry about the age of this group moving forward, and that's something that I think is a really big thing to question. Now you also have the Padres coming into town, and you're going to have Kyle Gibson on the mound, and you will have Mike Shildt coming back for the first time to Busch Stadium since he was let go back in 2021 with the infamous now philosophical differences. How much do you think that this matters to Mike Shildt? Not only because for the Padres, they need it for where they're at. They need to kind of have that final stamp of approval when you're looking at the playoffs, but also the meaning for it coming into this situation.
You just don't hear managers and general managers in baseball saying that they had their heart broken when they were fired by somebody, like you did with Mike Shildt. I hope his players recognize how meaningful this will be. He gave a huge part of his life, 18 years of his life, to this organization. So I have to believe that this is quite meaningful to Mike Shildt coming into St. Louis, and I hope he gets a big ovation from the crowd here. Depending on how many are there, I hope that, I hope the percentage, because he did give a lot to the organization, I hope they give him an ovation when he shows up on the field. But I also hope that his own players recognize what a big deal this is for him.
I think that they do. Without him even having to say anything, I think that they know the full story of everything that happened there. Of course, we don't even know the full story of what exactly went down, but just reading between the lines and what was said with John Mozeliak, it was philosophical differences of how they wanted to approach this organization and how they wanted to see this club managed. And he did. He gave a lot to this organization. As you mentioned, nearly 20 years of his life was dedicated. So that was a huge loss for the organization. When we're talking about developing players, he was a big part of that, and he was a big part of the communication, something that we keep talking about, it being a collaborative, linear effort from the organization from the top down. He was part of that, and Ollie, he was a part of the minor league system, and now, of course, the manager. I am happy for Mike Shildt to see that he's found success with the Padres, and I see some people say, well, he's had success. I've seen this on social media be discussed. He's had success because he has all these star players. But you and I saw him when he was managing. The way that he is really able to bring a team together, I think, is very unique to him and his managing style.
And he does have star players, but a lot of them aren't playing. Jurickson Profar has been great for him in left field. Jurickson Profar has never performed the way that he is this year under Mike Shildt before. Fernando Tatis Jr. is on the IL. Machado has missed a large chunk of the season. He hasn't been able to play third base nearly as much as he has in the past. When Shildt made the move of Xander Bogaerts from shortstop to second base, Bogaerts wasn't thrilled with it, but Shildt brought him in and talked to him, and the communication was there, and there was no kerfuffle with the media. Everybody knew exactly what was going on because Shildt told him what was going on beforehand. And it wasn't, we're going to play in the outfield too. It was, we're moving you to second base. You're a better second baseman, and Ha-Seong Kim is a better shortstop, so this is what we're going to do. The other part of it is, you talk about the stars. Granted, they went out and got Dylan Cease, who's been a revelation for them. He's got a 3.43 earned run average. He's thrown 154 2/3 innings. But the other guys, Michael King had 9 starts in the majors before this year. King this year 11-7 with the 3.14 for the Padres. He was part of the Juan Soto trade. Mike Shildt never managed Juan Soto. Joe Musgrove has made 13 starts. He's been available for about half of his available starts this year. Yu Darvish only has 11 starts this year. Martin Perez, they just got in a trade, has 5 starts. They're getting great work out of their closer, Robert Suarez. Shildt has built a bullpen. Yes, he has good players. And by the way, Jackson Merrill, their center fielder, who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, never played center field before Mike Shildt got him in spring training. He'd always been a shortstop. And he's probably going to be Rookie of the Year because Shildt has helped develop him at the major league level. So, yes, I'm not saying that Mike Shildt doesn't have a lot of talent, but he's playing without a lot of that talent available to him, and young players and veteran players are clearly getting better under Mike Shildt.
It's the perfect combination, and you mentioned it there, but they lost Soto from last year. They lost Hader from last year. They lost Blake Snell, who was last season's Cy Young winner, as we all know, and their payroll dropped from $256 million, they were third in baseball last year, to $167 million, which is 15th in all of Major League Baseball this year. So he was able to still navigate all that. Now, I know they made some aggressive moves. They got Tanner Scott, and they made some additions to their bullpen, and their bullpen is fantastic. But at the same time, the way that Mike Shildt has been able to navigate that, I'm happy for him. It's hard because, of course, they're the team coming into town, but with Shildt, what he was able to do for this organization, I'm glad that things have worked out for him.
And, Brooke, when you look at last year's starting rotation for the Padres, Blake Snell leaves in free agency. He started 32 games. Seth Lugo, maybe the best free agent pickup of anybody this offseason. He's gone. He's with the Royals now. Michael Wacha is also with the Royals now. He made 24 starts for them last year, was 14-4 with a 3.22. Matt Waldron is back. They lost Rich Hill, and they also lost Nick Martinez. They lost a bunch of starting pitching. They basically lost a starting rotation from last year's team, the entire group. And this year, because they haven't had Musgrove and Darvish, they've had to basically start a different five than they started last year. Yet, here they are right in the hunt for the playoffs and leading the wild card race.
Do you think he should be in consideration for Manager of the Year?
Absolutely. I think he should. Now, I think it's going to be hard for him to win it, but he's...
should be at least in the conversation.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt. I think Pat Murphy will probably get it because he's in his first year with the Brewers. But yeah, I think Mike is right there as a Manager of the Year candidate. And with everything that's happened to Atlanta for the Braves, if the Braves make the playoffs, they're 10 games over 500, losing Riley, losing Strider, losing Acuna. I think that Brian Snitker has to be in the mix there, too. I think Murphy's probably the favorite with Schilt and Snitker right behind him.
Yeah, I could see that 100%. It's incredible what they've been able to do. And I know that there's a lot of money that is spent and there's a lot of superstars, but we even saw with the Padres last year, having superstars does not guarantee you anything. Spending a lot of money does not guarantee you anything.
No, and Bob Melvin's a good manager, and he wasn't able to do what Schilt is doing this year. Some guys just get more out of less, and Mike appears to be one of those guys.
What did you observe from Mike Schilt when he was a manager here with the Cardinals?
He did a great job of melding the analytics with the people. He's a guy that understands that they're men, not machines. And players got better under him. I thought that was one of the interesting things. A lot of times you'll see a team and not everybody gets better, but if you look at like that 21 Cardinals team, it just seemed to me that there were a lot of players on that team that just during the course of the season under Mike Schilt ascended. And I think another thing the players really liked, he would do that ball talk before games. Players crave communication now, and Schilt is a great communicator. But you look at that group, the way that down the stretch Tyler O'Neill performed. He was unbelievable in September. But Goldie and Arenado both had really good, solid years that year. Yachty was still playing at a reasonably high level, even though he didn't have him for the whole season. He had him for 120 games. He was able to move Edmund around. And remember, they had 5 Gold Glove winners. That, to me, is pretty telling. When you rebuild, he talks about rebuilding the culture. That team went from a team that he took over as the worst defensive team and worst base running team in the league, bottom 5, to the best.
The 17-game win streak is probably one of the highlights of my career of just covering the Cardinals, honestly, in 2021. It was.
Yeah. Think about this. Dylan Carlson under Mike Schilt was 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting in 2021.
That's true.
Yeah. Harrison Bader had a really good year. 460 slug, 785 OPS for Harrison Bader, and another Gold Glove winner. So, yeah, a lot of good things came to the Cardinals from Mike Schilt. It's a shame that they had those
philosophical differences.
Yep.
Never will forget that.
It'd be good to have Mike back in town. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, our buddy Chip Caray joins us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hi, it's Randy, and when it comes time to sell your home, you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent. Take it from me and get to know St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Here is why you should call her at 314-325-6888, because her name is her promise, and that promise says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria's going to have the buyers for your home already. She's been in the business for 20 years, and she has put together a database of buyers that want to buy in your home or in your neighborhood and in your price range. It's pretty incredible what she's able to do, and she generally gets the most money in the best time for you. Get in touch with Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. And as always, Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. To learn more, visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. The Cardinals are home for 4 against the Padres after taking 2 of 3 in Minnesota over the weekend. And our friend, the TV voice of the Cardinals, Chip Caray, joins us as he does Monday mornings here on the opening drive. Brooke and Randy. Chip, good morning. How you doing?
Great.
We are doing well. First of all, how did you like Minneapolis?
Oh, it's great. Great city. Great ballpark. Target Field's one of my favorites. And winning 2 out of 3 makes any trip to any city great if you're a Cardinals fan. So it was a profitable weekend for sure.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of positives that we'll get into, but we do have to talk about Willson Contreras, obviously his injury this past weekend, and it's something that you just hate to see, especially what he has been able to do offensively and even behind the plate this season. How big of a loss is this for the Cardinals with a very important final run here towards the end of the season?
Well, for a team that's struggling offensively, you lose one of your best, if not your best, hitter for the final 4 or 5 weeks, perhaps. That's certainly not ideal. Willson was playing great, hitting the ball well, but I think we have to go back on what we've seen earlier this year when he went out. Herrera and Pedro Pajes did great work. I think the Cardinals were 8 games over 500 with Willson out and injured with a broken forearm. That would be wonderful if that duo could do that again, but it's next man up time, as we keep saying. If you play well and you perform well, injuries happen and the like. It's step up and see who can fill the void, and hopefully those guys can do it.
Chip, it felt like yesterday Eric Fedde kind of found himself in a Cardinal uniform. That's what I expected the first time that we saw him start in Chicago against the Cubs. And if the Cardinals can get that sort of performance for the rest of Eric Fedde's time in a Cardinal uniform, not every single time, that's going to be hard to do, but in general, that's a pretty good performance yesterday by Eric Fedde yesterday.
Yeah, no question about it. I think the key is find toilets to explode on visiting road trips. That was a big key for the team yesterday. But no, he pitched great. A late night for him, a rough night for him, not ideal. Again, he had to change hotels in the middle of the night after the plumbing issue at the team hotel in Minneapolis. That didn't bother him. Gave up the home run on the first pitch, and I loved what he said in the newspaper in that, okay, you can say, here we go again, or you can say enough's enough and get back to work, and he did exactly that. He pitched great.
great. He pitched a solid game, gave the Cardinals offense a chance to come back. And I agree with you, Randy. If he can do that more consistently, certainly that'll help the Cardinals not just this year, but next as well.
Yeah, Chip, if you can, for the people who aren't aware of that story, explain what exactly happened with this whole hotel situation, because it sounds like a lot of the guys didn't get a lot of sleep, but you didn't see it really affect them in the game.
Yeah, apparently they had a major plumbing problem. One of a toilet in one of our players' rooms apparently had back pressure, and it actually came off the footing of his floor, and water was gushing up to the ceiling in his room. And by the time they were able to get to that, his room was flooded. A couple of hallways were flooded on 2 different floors, and water was apparently seeping into some of the players' rooms in the team hotel. So they got everybody out. Water was cascading down the elevator shaft. It sounded like a waterfall, we were told. So guys were having to evacuate their rooms in the middle of the night. It was Father's Weekend for some of the guys. Families were there with young children. So they had to traipse down 28, 29 floors of stairs to get to the lobby just to figure out where they were going to go next and how they were going to sleep the rest of the way. So it was certainly not ideal, but you're right. No sleep, no problem for the Cardinals. They managed to work their way through that plumbing issue. And as Ollie said, they snatched away a win from Minnesota yesterday.
Hey, Chip, if he's not automatic, Ryan Helsley is as close to automatic as there is in the 9th inning in baseball right now, isn't he?
He's been awfully good. A definition of role, definition of assignment. I mean, last year the Cardinals were trying any way they could to win games in creative ways, and I think that really was not the best way to deploy Ryan Helsley. I think he said as much. I think Ollie admitted as much, and by that I mean you take your chances in the 7th inning or the 8th inning with the real powerful parts of the opposing lineup coming up. Ryan's better suited when he's organized and knows what his role is and when he's going to pitch. I think the results show that, and that role has been you get the 9th inning. You get the 9th inning with the lead at home, less than 3 runs, and go get him, and he's done that. And the Cardinals are really, really happy, obviously, with 40 saves. Hopefully there's 10 or more left in his quiver down the stretch.
Andre Pallante with another 7 strong innings. It's been so much fun watching his development. How much fun have you had watching his development?
That's the game, right, Brooke? You know, you see young guys get a chance in the major leagues, and you see how they grow and how they adapt to being here. Andre's had success in previous years as a starter, but really was in the bullpen because there wasn't a place for him. Now with all that's happened with the Cardinals rotation, he's stepped in. He's added that 2-seam sinking fastball that's really helped right-hand hitters be neutralized for him, which has always been his problem. And you can make the case, and I think the numbers bear it out. He's been the best starter for the Cardinals since the All-Star break. So I think he's a guy that's rock solid in rotation. I can't imagine the Cardinals pulling him out of their 5-man rotation. They may go with a 6-man once Steven Matz or Lance Lynn comes back, but that's a decision to be made in the days ahead. But you're right, Pallante's been awesome for sure.
Hey, Chip, I thought when we started this stretch against teams that are in the playoff hunt, I thought if the Cardinals could get out of that at 500, take your chances in September. Looks like they have a chance. This is a big week for the Cardinals, but it looks to me like they have a chance to get out of this gauntlet with about a 500 record.
Yeah, they're 5-4. Lost the series to the Dodgers. Could have won all 3 of those games. Won back-to-back series against Milwaukee and a playoff-bound Minnesota team. So that's encouraging. Now, as you guys were talking beforehand, you've got the Padres come in and their offensive fireworks and a really good pitching staff and bullpen. It seems like the Cardinals have played better against better competition. Hopefully that continues. Got to get the offense going. 3 runs in 2 games against a team like San Diego is going to be awfully tough to be successful. But look, they're home. It's going to be hot just the way we like it. And maybe those California guys will melt under the pressure of a blistering late August week here in St. Louis.
Do you wear, when it's that hot, when it's 100 degrees at game time, I know that there have been times where you have worn the Cardinal hat. Will you go with that this week?
I will do anything for a Cardinal win, Randy. Of course I'll wear the Cardinal hat. I wore it in Minneapolis where it was 1 billion degrees and very humid. I made it about 2 innings before the sweat started pouring down. I didn't want to mess up the beautifully coiffed hair, but it worked out. It worked out yesterday for St. Louis. So, yeah, I'll have the bird hat ready to go, and I hope fans will come out. This is a big series. Cardinals are playing hard. I know the team has underperformed in some aspects, but, look, we need support. We need fans to come out. I know school's in session. There are great ticket specials and the like available for a really good team. And, yeah, you mentioned Mike Schilt coming back. That'll be a special reunion as well.
And one last thing, and we don't want people to forget, you are involved with the Cardinals in trying to feed people in the St. Louis metro area, and I'm so happy that you're doing that, and I'm so happy that people are able to actually put food in their mouths because of Chip and the Cardinals. Tell us how people can get involved.
Yeah, Bank of America and Cardinals Care have teamed up with me with Feed the Future. And it's a program that's run through the Cardinals website. If you go to cardinals.com/feed the future, it's tied to every double play. Every time the Cardinals turn a double play, Bank of America is going to make a sizable donation to Feed the Future. It helps kids deal with food insecurity in St. Louis, not just during the school months, but during the summer months as well. And I'm really, really humbled that they asked me to put a face on that program. It's been really successful as well. And if fans want to contribute or donate anything, including time, go to feedthefuture.com and go to cardinals.com/feedthefuture, and you'll get all the information there.
Chip, thanks so much for what you do, and thanks for joining us today, and we'll be tuned in tonight.
Sounds great, guys. See you soon. Thank you for the call.
Thanks. Take care. Chip Caray, the TV voice of the Cardinals on 101 ESPN. He's right. 5-4 so far in this gauntlet part of the schedule. And the 4 against the Padres, 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Brewers before you get the Mariners here. And the Mariners have a new manager. They're playing a little bit better. Then you get the Reds. You go to Toronto, Pirates, Guardians. Guardians are not easy. But I think once you get past the final 3 games against the Brewers, then that's where you need to go on a roll. But you still have a lot of time left here. It's 4 games, 10 games left here in this gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, that is still a pretty tough schedule to get through before you get to that easier portion of the schedule. So we'll have to see. Padres in town. This will be a tough matchup.
That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, the NFL's final preseason weekend has concluded. Some highlights and lowlights from the NFL next on 101 ESPN. Hey, doesn't everybody love a sweet treat for their birthday? Well, Schnucks wants to celebrate their Schnucks Rewards members' birthdays with a free, freshly baked donut on your birthday. It's part of the all-new personalized perks in the Schnucks Rewards app, and it's easy. All you have to do is add your birthday to your rewards profile in the Schnucks Rewards app, and when your birthday rolls around, just clip the free donut coupon in the Schnucks Rewards app and redeem the coupon at checkout, and you get a free donut. The coupon is good for your entire birthday week, so no worries if you can't make it into the store on your special day. Make sure you get your birthday freebie by downloading the Schnucks Rewards app and adding your birthday to the profile today. And another thing you need to keep an eye on is personal double points days, and that makes earning rewards easier and faster. Just keep an eye on the Rewards app for your personal double points day coupon, and once you clip it, you can use it to get double the points on your entire purchase. It's with Schnucks. Don't forget to download the Schnucks Rewards app today.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals, coming off winning 2 of 3 against the Twins, will face off against the San Diego Padres. Starting tonight, 6:45 first pitch. It'll be Randy Vasquez, the righty for the Padres, 3-6 on the season with a 4.63 ERA. Faces off against Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals. Gibson on the season, 7-5 with a 4.22 ERA. And over the weekend, St. Louis City SC back in MLS action, and they get their hearts ripped out late against the Portland Timbers as Evander puts in a free kick in the 99th minute of a game that's supposed to have 90, as it's a 4-4 tie for St. Louis City SC and the Portland Timbers. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Highlights and lowlights from the third and final weekend of the NFL preseason. And, Brooke, one of the lowlights was the Atlanta Falcons being blanked by the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-0. And it wasn't just the fact that they dropped a game 31-0. Taylor Heineke just 8 of 17 for 81 yards. He did get sacked, and John Paddock, their other quarterback that played, was 1 of 3 for 4 yards. 31-0. That's one of my lowlights, but that is not the lowlight of the weekend. There were multiple lowlights over the course of the week. And by the way, the NFL preseason is just really bad, isn't it?
It is really bad. We were discussing that during the break of just how boring it is in a lot of ways. And of course, you're seeing the backups. You're not seeing a lot of the star guys. But even when you see the star guys, it's just it feels like a quick minute and then they're gone.
Right.
And I don't know if I can fully judge anything of what I'm seeing in preseason. It doesn't feel real, does it?
It doesn't. But here's one thing I did judge. Remember third pick in the draft, Trey Lance?
Mm-hmm.
He was with the San Francisco 49ers last year, got traded to Dallas, and played quarterback for Dallas on Saturday night. 33 of 49 for 323 yards, a touchdown, and 5 interceptions.
In a preseason game.
Yeah, no. 5 picks in a preseason game.
No.
Brooke, is a low light.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say that is a low light. Okay, maybe. Well, I'll walk back on that one. That I will see and say, yeah, that's real. Because if you're doing that against everybody's backups, essentially, then that's not good whatsoever.
No.
Okay, so my low light, I feel like I have to go back on my worst, because last week, if we were listening when we discussed this, my highlight was Justin Fields and what he was able to do. And now, if you saw the preseason game, I have a feeling that Russell Wilson will be named the starting quarterback. Now, Tomlin still hasn't named a quarterback who will be number 1 as of yet, but if you saw that game, Fields really struggled. I said this last week, the pass protection is just not there yet, so I think either way, whoever the number 1 quarterback is going to be sacked multiple times in a game, and who knows how many times this season, but he really botched a couple of snaps. He did not look great, and sometimes your last impression is the lasting impression, especially when you're going in to start the season. Wilson just looked a little bit better in that last preseason game. Obviously, Fields struggled. As I mentioned, he just didn't look as secure there, but I believe, Randy, during the course of the season, either way, Justin Fields will be the number 1 quarterback at some point, that he will take over that role. Even if they start with Wilson, I think that Justin Fields will take it over.
I agree with you. And I think right now, Russell Wilson, who, by the way, had a good statistical year last year, I just think that he's so set in his ways and was probably done a disservice by being allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted to do in Seattle.
Yes.
It seems like he hasn't given that up yet. And I can't imagine that at some point that Mike Tomlin won't tire of that. He'll say, okay, enough. And he'll get a guy that actually listens to coaching.
I think so, too. I don't buy in that he will be able to last as the number 1 starting quarterback. My highlight, well, I know that some people might think it might be Will Levis, and we can talk about that when the real season actually starts. But my highlight is actually what happened with the Chargers and also their quarterback, Justin Herbert. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but they were apparently trapped in an elevator in Dallas this weekend, and Justin Herbert according to Jim Harbaugh, showed off his leadership capabilities in the elevator. They were supposedly stuck in the elevator for 2 hours. And this is what Harbaugh had to say about Justin Herbert. He said, Justin Herbert's a leader. He was a rock. He kept everybody calm. People pulled me aside after they got out, and they talked about how great Justin was, and he kept everybody in there safe. He said, you get in those situations, and it's a test of wills. I was proud of each of the guys and the 2 women that were on that elevator. That's a win. You feel good about yourself. You were challenged. It was a test of will, and you pull it down or pull it out.
Well, that is leadership exemplified when you're stuck in an elevator. And apparently don't sweat. I mean, that's everything.
No, I wish we could play like the full long quote, but I mean, he kept going on and on and on about how impressed he was by Justin Herbert in this elevator.
I'm impressed.
I'm impressed too. Yeah. So which quarterback are you trusting to handle a pressure situation of being stuck in an elevator for 2 hours?
Oh, the one I do trust. Okay. Good question. I can tell you who I don't trust.
Who do you not trust?
Do you mean like I'm in the elevator with them and I believe that they'd get me through that?
Yes, that they are very much like Justin was in this situation where they keep you calm and collected.
Not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the aforementioned Russell Wilson probably would not be a guy.
No, I would be banging on the door of that elevator immediately. He's trying to sell me brain water. Get me out of here.
I'll tell you who's going to be calm. Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's a good one.
Brock Purdy is going to be as cool as a cucumber.
Also, I feel like we could eat up a lot of that time probably with a good washers versus cornhole discussion. I feel like Brock Purdy, Northern Iowa, he's going to be locked into that topic.
So, people are texting in. I like this from the 3 and 4. What are the odds that Harbaugh caused the elevator problem?
100%.
To test him.
Those are the odds. Yeah. How about Jalen Hurts?
Okay, I think Jalen Hurts would be. I feel like he'd be. Yeah, he'd be very quiet.
That's what you want.
So let's be clear here, because if you're stuck in an elevator, you're probably panicking because you don't know when you're getting out. Mm-hmm. You're already in there for over an hour at this point because they were in there for 2 hours. And you want somebody who's not extremely sweaty.
I got one.
And you want somebody who will just be very calm and collected. Maybe, and I think Aaron Rodgers is a very good example of somebody who might not be great in that situation. Can he handle pressure situations? Sure. But I could see him maybe talking a lot. And if there's a lot of talking, then you also get really nervous in that situation.
That's why I don't want Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love Kirk Cousins, but I don't want him saying, you like that?
Here's one. Listen, it might be a little bit tough. This elevator is going to be a little bit higher altitude, but Randy sits back in this elevator and just sits there and just goes, so Zach, how was she?
So that was
Randy and Rocchio. Come on.
Am I wrong? It'd be a good story time to kill an hour.
By the way,
come on.
Speaking of Zach, that's one of my highlights. Well, Russell Wilson is kind of a low light. Zach Wilson goes 16 of 25 for 251 and a couple of scores for the Broncos in their game against Arizona. Denver wins it 38-12, and Zach Wilson just looking great in Denver.
Oh, yeah. Well, good for him.
Yeah.
He's enjoying it.
Oh, he enjoys life.
He enjoys life. I was waiting for you to set it up for something else.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to do that.
No, you weren't going to do that. So would you want to be stuck in an elevator with Zach Wilson?
I don't think it'd be too bad. I think for the middle-aged women, it might be a little bit different situation.
Well, there was 2 women in the elevator. We do not know the ages. They could have been
one of them is
mothers.
Dan Fout's wife, and she's probably
was she in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's probably 70, right?
Yeah, maybe not then.
No.
Yeah.
Somebody
says you need Patrick Mahomes in there. He can sing Sesame Street songs. Kermit's not on Sesame Street, I don't think. I think Kermit is one of the only Muppets that has like never done Sesame Street, right?
No, Kermit's on Sesame Street.
No, I'm thinking of. There's one of the Muppets that is like never been on Sesame Street, but is a Muppet, and I'm blanking on who it is. But yeah, Kermit does the little kids. He's all talking.
Snuffleupagus has been on Sesame Street.
No, it's. Maybe it's Miss Piggy. Yeah, I'm trying. There is a Muppet who's never been on Sesame Street.
Interesting.
Well,
I can't remember which one it is.
You learn something new every day.
Some people also have pointed out that Aaron Rodgers, he was able to handle a darkness retreat, so that is fair. I wonder if he was quiet. Was he quiet the entire time during the darkness retreat? Was that part of it?
Nobody knows because you're alone.
That's true, but I didn't know if he shared the story of what he did during that. So that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment that he could handle that because he has handled a darkness retreat before.
Okay, final thing, Brooke. These are the teams that went unbeaten during the preseason. I want you to tell me if you believe in any of them. Vikings were 3-0. Bears were 4-0. Broncos were 3-0. Titans were 3-0. Jags were 3-0. And Jets were 3-0. Do you believe in any of those unbeaten teams to have success during the regular season?
I could see the Bears.
See, Jags was the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
last one was the Jets.
You think the Jags?
Jags and Titans?
Yeah, I think they got a pretty good offense going. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, they got a lot of pieces at wide receiver and running back. I mean, their offensive line, they've spent money on it. It's not great, but they got some big names on defense. I don't think, again, it's a weird division, is it not?
It is a very weird
That's what
division.
I'm saying.
That's why I'm not fully bought in on it.
That's fair.
Yet.
And here's the thing about the NFL preseason. The Chiefs were 0-3.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
No. I don't. There are people that are picking the Jets. I'm not enamored of them.
Are you in on the Bears hype? I can't tell if this is just like a large fan base that is so desperate, or if it's real.
And it's Hard Knocks.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I think that's part of it too. No, I'm not in on the Bears hype. Detroit and Green Bay are both better in that division.
I just think that they will be better than they were. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'm intrigued. Yeah, they will definitely be better than they were. I'm intrigued because of Sean Payton by Denver.
And you have Bo Nix.
Yep. But I'm kind of with Matthew here. I think Jacksonville, they were a playoff team 2 years ago. Lawrence was hurt last year. They've kind of built up their offensive line. I think Jacksonville's a team that has a chance to compete with Houston and Tennessee in that division.
We'll see.
Also, they got a St. Louis kid. I always forget how to say his name. Olokun, the outside linebacker. Yep. They got a St. Louis kid in there. I mean, they have legitimately some good bodies on defense. They might not have the names they're used to, but I mean, if they go 10-7, I'm in zero ways surprised at that.
I will say I was excited for the Titans to score. It was like, what was the final score? 30 to, I can't remember, but either way they scored 30 points. And if you were there for the Vrabel era, offensively, they really struggled to put up that many points, and that was one of the big reasons that led to his, ending of his time there with the Titans. So hopefully with Callahan, who's a lot more obviously offensive-minded, they can start trending in that direction.
Yep. That's Brooke. That's Matthew. I'm Randy. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc Roll. I think we got tickets, a pair of lawn tickets to Sammy Hagar's sold-out show Saturday night at a Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey, St. Louis, our friends at Together Credit Union have launched a brand new high-yield checking account called Empower Checking. With Empower Checking, you earn above-market interest on the money you keep in your day-to-day checking account. What a deal that is. Interest is paid to you each month, and it's a checking account that rewards you for balances and not activity. To apply, visit togethercu.org or stop by any of their 14 local St. Louis branches and work directly with one of their amazing member advocates. And they are local. Together Credit Union is all about St. Louis, and they're all about St. Louis City SC. So when you get your Empower Checking, you can get your St. Louis City SC debit card from Together Credit Union as well, and you get 10% off the shop over at City Park, and you get express entry into City Park as well. Get paid to save with Empower Checking. Visit togethercu.org/empower for full terms and details. Membership eligibility required. Together Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA.
I want to rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
101 ESPN is your shot to score a pair of lawn tickets to Sammy Hagar's sold-out show on Saturday night at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Sammy's going to be joined by Michael Anthony, Joe Satriani, and Jason Bonham for a huge sold-out show on Saturday. Text in to win free tickets now at 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO, or just to register to score tickets at the 101 ESPN app or at 101ESPN.com. We've got a Sammy Hagar trivia question for you. Matthew, what do you got for us?
It's pretty simple. You want to go to the sold-out show? I need you to be a fan of Mr. Sammy Hagar. So here's the question for you. What year did he take over as the lead singer of Van Halen for David Lee Roth? What year did he take over as the lead singer of Van Halen for David Lee Roth?
Okay. What year did he go ahead and jump?
Nice.
What texture number do we want?
Let's go with texture number 28.
Okay, let's do that. Sounds good.
I like that number.
And you also need to get signed up to play in this year's Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge at 101ESPN.com. Make your football picks each week and see if you can defeat the Fast Lane and the dudes from the Rizzuto Show. The Fast Lane and the Riz Show are throwing down all football season long in the Pick'em Challenge. Get signed up to play now at 101ESPN.com. All right, time for rock and roll. Matthew, what do you got?
Yeah, Brooke, was this on the air or off the air that we talked about Deion Sanders? It's one of those mornings.
Oh,
it was on the air.
That was on the air.
Was it on the air? No, it was off the air.
None of us know. And so that's why I'm going to bring the sound here from my man, Paul Feinbaum. He was on Get Up this morning on ESPN, and here are his thoughts on Deion Sanders after he informed the Denver Post that the Buffalo program will not be taking questions from columnist Sean Keeler due to what CU perceives as a series of sustained and personal attacks. Here's Paul Feinbaum again on Get Up.
Coach Prime is showing he is not ready for prime time, Greeny. I find this whole thing to be disgraceful. Deion may want to talk about love and joy, and that's been the cornerstone of what he seems to be spewing out. But treating reporters like this seems like we're in some autocratic country. This is not America, and the fact that it's in his contract is really even more absurd. But don't forget, he did this at Jackson State. This is a trait of Deion Sanders. He wants to have it his way, and I find him to be a bully and a hypocrite, and quite frankly, as someone who has been a fan of his throughout his entire career, even at Colorado, I am mortified by his actions.
Yep, I'm with Paul Feinbaum, and this is from the story in the Denver Post. A statement was provided to the Post editors on Friday. Department officials said the decision was due of what it perceived as, again, a quote-unquote series of sustained personal attacks in Keeler's coverage. When asked for specific examples of how Keeler personally attacked Sanders in the program, a sports information staffer cited his use of phrases such as, quote-unquote, false prophet, deposition Deion, Planet Prime, Bruce Lee of BS, the Deion Kool-Aid, and circus.
Well, that is mean, but it's you just have to.
It's columnist talk, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's fairly normal
mild
ways that a columnist might be going after a coach who started off with a lot of heat last year and then lost a lot of big games to close out the season, where they go 1-8 to finish the season or something like that, or 1-6 to finish the season. So
yeah.
I mean, that's columnist speak.
I do not get it whatsoever. I think that it's more distracting than helpful in this case, because then everybody, they're not even talking about your football team and what you're doing going into the season. They're more focused on the fact that you continue to ban or not allow people to speak at your press conferences. First, you had that thing with a CBS reporter where it was just a local affiliate, had nothing to do with the national article, whatever was written about him, and he blocked out that one journalist from asking any questions. And now you have this situation where you ban an entire journalist or a columnist in this situation from even speaking at your press conferences. I don't think, also, if you're trying to tell your players to block the outside noise, that's coach speak we hear all the time, right? Where they say, you got to block the outside noise. You hear even managers say it in Major League Baseball. But then you keep paying attention to what they're saying, then how can you tell the players to actually block out the outside noise when you're even obviously letting the outside noise get to you?
And what happened? There's one way to cause people to not criticize you. That's by winning. But
exactly.
What's going to happen when he gets criticized on College Game Day?
I don't know. Is he going to ban the entire show?
Exactly. Is he going to not talk to ESPN?
Yeah.
What's his plan here? You better win. The reason that you get criticized is because you don't win, especially when you're as bombastic as Deion Sanders is. Our guy is going to run into the same thing. I don't think that Eli Drinkwitz is adored by all media because of his edge, and he better be ready for criticism if he doesn't win. You better be prepared for that. And Deion, if you say we coming and then you really aren't, somebody's going to take a shot at you. I mean, he's got glasses that say we coming.
Exactly.
So you better be coming if you're going to be if you're going to take that tack.
And I do understand, especially in this day and age with social media, it's hard to completely block it out unless you went to an Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat where you completely get away from everything. It's nearly impossible to shut out the outside noise, but you also have to manage it. You have to manage that, okay, well, we know what we have going inside this room. It doesn't matter what the outside sees or thinks.
I'm surprised that he is as thin-skinned as he is.
Yeah.
For when you go back to him branding himself at Florida State, and maybe it's because he was always so great. He was, I guess, he poured ice water over Tim McCarver's head after the baseball playoffs back in the 90s when he played for both teams in one day, and McCarver didn't agree with it. McCarver was old school, and so maybe this is just who Deion Sanders is.
Yeah, maybe it is, but I think especially if you're leading young men, that's just not the way to go about that.
And if you want to keep your job, ultimately, you're not going to get any help from the media if you are a jerk to the media.
No. And you don't have to be friends with the media.
No.
That's not what we're saying.
You don't have to respectfully.
Yeah. I mean, what good does it do? It's just a big distraction. It's a big distraction because, look, if you go Google his name right now or you Google his football team, it's not going to be about expectations for their team, their season, the highlights. Instead, it's going to be all these negative stories of, will he ban somebody else from his press conference?
Ollie Marmol doesn't like everything we say, but he also says, I know you got a job to do. Right? Same thing with Berube. I know you. Yeah. That's the big thing is I think those A lot of coaches don't understand that we do have a job to do, and it should be pointed out to them that we are in the opinion business. We are audio columnists. The columnist of the Denver Post, he's paid to give his opinion. And you know what? There's a great way to shut him up and not give that negative opinion anymore.
Win. That's it.
And it's just when you have all the power and you have all the money and you have the weakest and you have the thinnest skin, it's hard not to get a spotlight shown on you. And that's what Deion is. He has all the power, he has all the notoriety, and he also has the thinnest skin in that state. And so you're going to look like a coward by doing this kind of stuff, and he does.
Absolutely.
By the way, the answer was 1985, and then of course it takes over in 1985, and they put out 5150 in 1986.
Go Ahead and Jump was 1984, right? That was the Cubs song during their 1984 run to the pennant that they didn't win. I have a Cubs 1984 champions cap at home.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing those for Boston after the Blues when they won. Like you could see a bunch of those knockoffs or the ones that they had ready because they make some ready to go just in case.
When I was walking out of Game 5 of the 1985 World Series, Cardinals could have won that game and won the series 4-1. They didn't and wound up losing the series. But there were tons of Cardinal 1985 World Champion shirts available after that game.
What do they do with all those?
Send them to countries, third world countries, so people can wear them. You've seen my Patriots 19-0 patch that Michelle got me. It's pretty cool. It's the best.
That is such a. I'm so happy you have that. It's such an incredible piece of history.
Yeah. Even Michelle says best gift I've ever given. It's an awesome gift. All right. Great job today by our producer, audio video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
It was fun. Good to have you back from Jacksonville.
100%.
And we appreciate you tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a magnificent Monday, St. Louis.